Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And I'm going to start off with an email. We got an email from...
Starting off with an email.
Yeah, well, instead of waiting, let's just start with an email.
Okay.
Got one from Jacob Sampson. Longtime listener. He always sends us in good emails. And he says, "Hey guys, I was just wondering, what is your thoughts on the new movie Lone Survivor? Are you going to go check it out?" The only reason I'm saying this is because I'm thinking about seeing this movie because one of the 4 Navy SEALs on that mission was my dad's friend's son, Michael Murphy. It is based off a true story, so my dad's friend's son was killed in the real mission.
Oh, wow. Well, I was interested because it has a bunch of actors in it that I really like. I like Mark Wahlberg, I like Nick Forster, and I like Emile Hirsch, and then Eric Bana's in there too. So it was kind of like, yeah, I'm up for it. I'll say this, I'll see it. I'm just kind of like, knowing that, I'm a little bit more interested now, but it's kind of one of those things, they just got to switch up the trailer. It's been the same trailer for the last 3 months for every movie we've got to go see.
It's like The Counselor. The Counselor was another one of those movies where it's just like, they played for 3 months straight, and The Counselor was, that's like a bad one, because it was almost every movie we went to, there was a Counselor trailer. And at first you're like, yeah, I can't wait, Ridley Scott, fucking A, Brad Pitt,
I think there's a trailer for that when I took my nephew to see Clyde with the Chance Meatballs too, so yeah.
Yeah, and it was just the same trailer. That's one key thing. Any good movie should switch their trailer up like at least every month. Mm-hmm. For as long as you're running that. Have a good couple trailers. Or don't show it that often too. I think that's another thing. I mean, I know that the average Joe probably goes out and maybe watches one movie a month, if that even. But let's just say he watches one movie a month. So you're going to catch him no matter what, I guess, for that guy. But for the person who sees a movie every week, if not more, and they're probably going like, well, that's your fucking fault.
Yeah. I guess it's one of our things. But,
I mean, like, I like that you get paid, but don't complain, I
like how drunk Batman is always the evil executive.
Yeah.
But,
no, Lone Survivor actually looks pretty sweet, though. Yeah, it comes out next week.
Oversaturation of that trailer aside, that movie does look good, and I heard the story, I think it was on 60 Minutes or something, so I am interested in actually seeing the movie of it. So.
Mm-hmm. I always like war movies, and it's cool because it's like, you kind of get this kind of different one. It's in Afghanistan, it's in the mountains, it's something different, I guess,
Well, usually it's never, if it's in Afghanistan, it's always just dirt and desert. It's never
it's
the
Rambo
mountains.
3.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so. I'm interested in that, because we never really acknowledge that in American movies. It's always just kind of like, we're in the Middle East, so here's just straight desert, where Iran actually has a lot of really green, foresty areas.
Afghanistan?
Well, Afghanistan, yeah, but I was thinking
Iran, I just think because that's the movie.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things movies don't a lot of times leave out.
Well, it's like California, there's a lot of things in California people leave out, too.
The only, to the whole world, California is just L.A. and a beach.
Yeah.
That's all California is to everybody, but that's just a very small segment.
I mean, you talk to people that from, other states, and they're always like, oh, you must have to deal with a lot of fucking traffic. And it's like, well, dude, I don't live in Los Angeles. It's, not everywhere has a lot of traffic.
And a lot of people assume California is just San Francisco, L.A., and a beach.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people assume.
They don't even think, they think Yosemite's its own state.
They think Yosemite's like an Oregon or Nevada or some shit,
Yeah, it throws them off.
Yeah, well, whatever, yeah, but...
It's really weird, though, when you meet people, though, and they don't know where Yosemite is. I thought that was the strangest thing, because I used to, mostly I always use Yosemite. When I'm in, another place, or if I'm on, the East Coast area, I always go, I live in Yosemite, because they have no idea. If you say, Sonora or Twain Harte or Tuolumne, they're going to be like, what?
21st birthday, I went to a strip club, and I was getting a lap dance from this girl, and I don't really go to strip clubs too often, I don't like them. 21st birthday, it's kind of like, you gotta at least, I'm gonna say, try to go there at least once just to say you've been there. I'll just say that. But anyway, 21st birthday, getting a lap dance with a stripper. She's like, so where are you from? This is Reno, Nevada. I'm like, oh, I'm from I'm from Sonora. Where's that? It's like, oh, this little mountain town not far away from Yosemite. What's Yosemite?
Whenever I hear that, I'm like,
it
always makes you go
I wasn't surprised to hear that in a strip club, but I mean.
But still, it's one of the ones really? It's you never heard of Yosemite? It's like, where the fuck have you been? I mean, there's just these handful of, it's you don't have to actually been there, but you should at least have some knowledge. And it's not like you're asking oh, I'm from Big Sur, that somewhere that only somebody in maybe California's gonna know, or even Big Trees. That's something that people might not know. But Yosemite?
I doubt that chick was working off college tuition.
Yosemite, Yellowstone, I mean, those are the ones it's hello, Grand Canyon. I mean, come on, you should at least just know those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some people.
Well, this last week or So I guess almost a week and a half. It's really been just a fuck ton of movies.
That's really, we could just call this podcast "Fuck Ton of Movies" because it's kind of.
I know.
Weird
I was kind of going over. It's like we could either call it fuck ton movies, a shit ton of movies, or a crap load of movies. I'm not too sure.
We could put "fuck ton," but just put in like asterisks and like like hashtags or.
I'm always kind of wondering. It's like, can you put fuck on some things?
You probably can.
You see people put fuck. I mean, there's a guy at Newgrounds. His name was like fuck something.
There's some asshole. There's
like fuck wad or something like that.
There's like some troll who got famous. Well, I mean, not famous. That might be too big of a word, but kind of like popular for a little while because he was attacking Spill.com for giving Watchmen like decent review because they gave it like a matinee. Which is like more or less a B.
Oh yeah, it's like.
And he was giving them shit or something he's giving them shit for like saying Transformers 2, it's okay. It's not really
like a rental.
Amazing. Yeah, they're generally saying that, and I think they're saying that or something. And he went off on them, just like fucking attacked them, like these guys. He became like one of those assholes, just this really fat guy screaming into a microphone and like a webcam.
No, that's like the worst.
And his name was Come On Ass. That was his name. He changed it since then, but. And he was like, actually, I remember the thing with Watchmen. He was attacking people for liking Watchmen because Alan Moore was against the movie. So he's saying you're an idiot if you liked Watchmen.
That's fine.
That's the worst.
It just sounds so weird. It's like there's this fat man. He's attacking people for liking Watchmen. Like he's physically attacking? No, he's just yelling on a camera.
And what is this? What is this like great messiah? What's his name? Come On Ass.
It's like if you told it to like your parents or your worse your grandparents, you're like they're like, oh my gosh, there's this fat man out there, honey. Don't go out in New York alone. He's gonna come out and attack you for liking the Watchmen. Whatever the hell that is.
And like that guy, he changed his name since then, but it was like, where was I going with this?
Just like your grandma just looking around the corner, just like, I hope there's not a fat man that's gonna run out and get me.
The Come On Ass isn't out there.
Oh God, there he is.
I don't really know.
No, Mr. Come On Ass.
He's probably changed his name since then, but no. Anyway, he was like,
get it in the ass.
Get it in the ass, up the ass. No, I don't know. How do we get it? Oh yeah. Anyway, well, if you could have a screen name like Come On Ass, you could probably get away with fuck ton of movies. I'm guessing. That's where it was going.
Movies, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there were so many movies. I don't know why, because last year on Christmas Day, I remember there being. Pretty much two big movies, Django and Les Miserables.
There was one other movie, but no one gave a fuck about. It was like, I want to say it was like a family. It was like the Billy Crystal and Family movie.
Oh yeah, there was that one,
which nobody went to go see.
But I guess there was that one there. But I guess it didn't feel like big, this movie. Where like this year they really sold off like 5 big movies.
Mm-hmm.
You had The Wolf of Wall Street. You had Life of Mitty. You had Saving Mr. Banks, you had Grudge Match, and 47 Ronin, and...
There's probably another one in there.
I think that's it, because the other ones all came out, like, on other days, because Hobbit, and Anchorman, and Walking of Dinosaurs, which that was Christmas Day, too. Which that was just pushed out of the way for Paranormal Activity 4.
I didn't see that movie, but the sad thing about it is people told me, two people told me, like, you know what? Here's the sad thing about it. The sad thing is... It's a good movie. It's just, it seems like the voiceovers is something they threw in there last minute. They said if you took out the voiceovers and just left it kind of like artsy kind of approach of just dinosaurs, like a nature show.
See, I think that'd be cool.
But they add in the voices and they say that's what ruined the movie. So I don't know. That's what I heard, but that's...
Well, I'll tell you this. The reason I didn't go and see it was because there was talking in it.
Same here.
It's like, I don't know, if it was just like a dinosaur movie, I probably would have been there day one.
Yeah.
Because I love dinosaurs, but...
You don't get enough of those.
Talking, yeah.
We have to wait for Jurassic Park to come out most of the time.
I know, and I don't know why dinosaurs are never popular. It's just one of those things, you think about like video games, you almost never see dinosaurs. You got Turok and Dino Crisis. And when was the fucking last time they made one of those games?
Before we go off on like the stuff we're supposed to talk about, I want to mention this real quick. Do you remember that show, this is going to seem I'm going out of nowhere, but you mentioned dinosaurs, so I want to say this. Remember
the dinosaur show?
Well, maybe it was. Remember that show that linked in Street Sharks?
Oh yeah.
Where it was like more or less Teenage Ninja Turtles, but with fucking sharks.
And they're on rollerblades.
Jawsome. Yeah. Jawsome. And then they.
Was that on ABC?
I want to say it was on USA. Maybe it was ABC, but I don't know. Sometimes
I want to say the only reason I say this is because like whenever I can trace back shows, there was a time when I only had just antenna, so like I know for a fact it couldn't have been on USA or anything like that. So I'm assuming it had to be on like ABC. That's how I would have watched. Because I think it was on the same channel that like the cows that were cowboy show.
Yeah. Which one was that called?
I
Just
could
I think
never-
I think it was something just very generic, like Texas Cowboys. I think it was something very generic like that. Or
Yeah.
But no, but then they had from the same company, they had one. I don't remember what they were called, but like something dinos, and they're like more or less kind of like they're dinosaurs from the future, from another planet.
Like, yo, bro, I'm a dinosaur.
And they come down to Earth, and I remember the raptors were all the bad guys. All the raptors were bad, but it was every other dinosaur, because apparently T-Rexes and Stegosauruses all get along just fine and all that. And it was very much kind of like the Transformers kind of like dynamic. There is, and like, but they had the whole, they loved, I remember, because I don't remember what the Street Sharks loved, but these guys, they loved tacos. That was their thing. That was like their
that
pizza.
sounds very
That was
familiar.
their cheese. That was their chili cheese dog. They love tacos. I remember they eventually had the Street Sharks and the Dino Guys team together.
Yeah, for the crossover episode.
No, it's like a whole series. They eventually
really?
just merged the two shows.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
I remember watching that show, but I like with the Street Sharks. I remember watching it quite a bit, like on that first season, I guess, the first run, whatever you want to call it. I don't remember. Yeah, and I do sort of remember that dinosaur show. That sounds familiar. Like I couldn't tell you too much about it.
I jumped off off Street Sharks by the time I had the action figure, but I jumped off by the time Moby Lick came in.
Huh.
Do you know what that was?
That's already a weird name.
Alright, here's what it is. You don't put this shit together when you're a kid. But I remember like a teacher, I brought to school, my teacher actually talked to my parents about it, thinking, I think this is a problem. Because I brought this action figure called Moby Lick. It was basically kind of like, just like
There's this guy, and he had this big long tongue, and he came with a big pole that he could put in his
it was an action figure of the kid from A Christmas Story.
No. And he just came with this big pole, and he was licking it.
No, it was like the orca. It was like an orca whale, and he had his tongue. He had this long tongue that stuck out. And of course, you did the whole thing where you stick the guy underwater, you squeeze him, fills up with water, and squirts it. And now I realize that, yeah, as a kid, but and then you're just this big, burly, kind of like man orca,
Yeah.
And then he had this knob on the back of his head. Or back or whatever, he turned, and it made the tongue do a whole, like, 360 thing.
So it was like the Bruno, like, dick going around.
Yeah! So I remember I brought that into school, and I was just like, Ryan, don't bring Moby Lick to school again. Like, why? Moby Lick, this is my favorite character.
Moby Lick's the fucking shit, man!
that was my favorite one out of all of them, was Moby Lick.
I mean, look at his tongue, it's fucking full 360!
Like, they actually talked to me, like, Ryan, I don't know if this is such a good idea. It was like second grade, too, so...
Wouldn't you rather play with this G.I. Joe?
Yeah. So after that, I was just
and then you come to the school of G.I. Joe with no clothes on him, just like, oh my god, he's not getting it. Yeah, well, my G.I. Joe's, he's Kung Fu underwear G.I. Joe.
Sword fight! No, but
guess what? He was out banging Barbie last night.
For some reason, I'm walking into school with a G.I. Joe.
You got G.I. Joe, a Barbie, and then the fucking orca whale guy, and then for some
I'm
reason...
wearing like a Miller Lite t-shirt.
My dad said I could have this.
I'm wearing a fishing cap, too. Like a camo fishing cap.
It's almost like you have to go stay at your uncle's house, and he doesn't know how to dress you.
I asked for some lunch, and what he gave me was just like a thing of Paps. He gave me one of those little like beer warmer coaster things
to keep my drink cool or warm. I'm not too sure. Wasn't specified. Speaking of weird cartoon things, though, I was watching the other day. I was watching Dragon Ball Z: The Dead Zone, the first movie one. This one I didn't notice when I was a kid too, because I probably haven't seen that movie in like since the 90s, since it came out like in the US.
Is it the part when like fucking like Gohan and Goku are just taking a bath? Like
No, that's actually not it. I thought that was in that one. That I think is in the, because it's not in the World's Strongest either. I think it's in the Tree of Might. Because I've been kind of rewatching those ones.
I could have sworn that was like Dead Zone, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it wasn't in that one, I'll tell you that. I think that's in like the third one coming up. In the second one, in this World's Strongest, there's a part where Goku's taking a bath and Krillin comes up to talk to him, and Goku's just sitting there. But then again, Goku and Krillin they're so good buddies. They just swim naked and do naked things and.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z is just one of those things. It's not gay if it's in martial arts. Come on, just training.
They're just buddies. But no, there's a part in the Dead Zone where like once Gohan gets like captured by Garlic Jr.'s men. There's a part where he goes and he eats this fucking apple, and the guy's like, no, don't fucking eat that apple. He's like, but you ate it. He's like, yeah, but that's an adult apple. And then Gohan just gets all high, and then he like has all these hallucinations of like these bears and all these colorful things marching around with him.
I remember that. Yeah, they have like some super Japanese
like,
song.
Yeah, this one didn't have the lyrics in it. For some reason, I remember there being lyrics, I thought. But then another Dragon Ball Z thing is I saw online that like you can buy the original like 90s versions of the Dragon Ball Z, like the first run, like the ones that we watched on Cartoon Network, or you could get on DVD back in like 1997 to 99.
Dragon, bump the dragon.
The box set's called Rock the Dragon, Dragon Ball Z
Rock
set.
the Dragon.
Yeah, and it's got all the episodes with all the Canadian guys that did the original voices to it. And then it's also got the first 3 movies in it, and a big collector's booklet and whatnot. But it's like,
be a little curious about that.
But apparently, like what I was reading on Amazon, some of the reviews on it, that in the UK, those guys, or I guess in Europe in general, those guys from Canada did the entire run of Dragon Ball Z the voices, because the ones that are on the orange boxes are the Funimation voice guys.
Oh, okay. So that's an entirely different group.
Which is weird because it's like you kind of like, I think I can't remember how different it is, because I can't really remember there was really a difference.
I don't remember. I watched Dragon Ball Z by the time it was on like Cartoon Network. That's by the time I was watching.
Well, no, in Cartoon Network for the very first run, if you were to watch Dragon Ball Z like right when it came out, those first episodes, and I think it goes all the way up to like when they get to about Namek or so, give or take. Mm-hmm. That was the first set, so that had anytime you saw the one was like the Rock the Dragon thing, that was the original, or that was the Canadian versions.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Just now I'm learning this.
So yeah, it's one of those ones. I was looking at that set. It's like, okay, it's $60 for this set, and I already own like multiple Dragon Ball Z sets already.
You're already considering getting the abridged one, aren't you?
No, I don't really like the Dragon Ball Z Kai one. I got the first.
Kai, that's what I meant.
I bought the first one because it was like $10 on sale, like when it was when it kind of first came out. So that was cheap. I think you can get it now for like $10. And the only thing I didn't like about that one, they cut way too much stuff out of it.
Yeah.
At first, like the first 3 episodes, I'm like, oh, this is the way to go. That fucking Raditz thing was summed up in 3 episodes, and it just felt smooth. And then I realized when he goes to Snake Way, they cut out all the side stories, and I kind of like those side stories. I guess to me, because like I grew up watching that, I like the side stories.
If there's anything I gotta cut off on, it's like the extended battles.
Well, you know what I thought? If you really, this is the way to buy your Dragon Ball Z set. If you have never bought your Dragon Ball Z set before, this is what you should do. For the first 2 seasons, buy like the orange ones, or you can get them on Blu-ray now, or you can get the Rock the Dragon pack, or what have you.
Rock the Dragon pack.
For season 3, though, go out and buy Dragon Ball Z Kai.
That works, yeah.
And then season 4, get the orange one again. And season 5, get the fucking Dragon Ball Z Kai one.
Season 5 is just them fighting Cell for
on
like
the fucking island for 20 fucking episodes. It's just it's almost as bad as the Frieza one. I don't know if it's not nearly as long as the Frieza one, but because I just watched season 5 again. It was one of those ones by about disc 3 or 4. It was like, okay, I got it.
You're a little worn out.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
I'll be honest. I was watching because I bought the whole set like a few summers back, and by the time I was almost done with season 3, I'm just like, fuck it. I know what happens. I saw it when I was a kid. I'm just gonna skip to the next season because I'm getting fucking tired of this. I know what happens.
I know that season 3. I can't imagine really going back and watching that unless I had like maybe the Kai versions or something.
The thing I might miss is them saying, "Damn it, that bastard," and then like maybe Bulma flipping the bird. That's maybe the most I'll miss.
And Vegeta flipping the bird too.
Yeah. And I think Krillin does once.
Which that was cool because like they didn't have those in the original cuts. I don't know. I don't know if those Rock the Dragon ones, if they're the edited though. I kind of wondered that.
I had one friend that was so like, oh my god, they do that in the real version. So the first wallpaper of his desktop was like Bulma flipping the bird.
I remember the part 2 where like they took this out of the original cut where like Goku, when he's training on the capsule on his way to Namek, he goes in the refrigerator, he pulls out a beer, and he goes, "What's this doing here?" And I think he just chucks it over his shoulder.
Soda.
And they like really like Photoshop over it like soda.
You can see kind of like hovering. It's kind of like those early like edit jobs. Like you could see kind of like whenever like one of them was naked, there'd just be like a leaf just kind of roughly floating there. You know. And there was also like I remember like when they went to like hell. They actually
like health or something like that.
It's like home for like unfortunate losers. It was something like that. It wasn't
the Snake Way thing.
Yeah. So they photoshopped hell out of there and like so. But no, that was I don't know. I gotta probably at some point I gotta sit down and watch that show again. It's been so long, but yeah.
Well, I just love it. That's one of the shows I come back and I watch all kinds of stuff from it. Whether I go back to the movies or go back to Dragon Ball or go to Dragon Ball Z or what have you. There's so many to choose from.
I just haven't been watching so much television. Like, I've been watching so many fucking movies, so it's kind of like...
It's funny because I switched off because I was watching so many fucking movies, and now I've been watching a lot of, like, animated... It feels like I've almost just switched, like... Been watching Justice League and Dragon Ball Z, and I've gone back and been, there's always something Batman. There's always Batman in life. You always go back to Batman.
Plus,
it's very rare... I very rarely have a day that there's not at least some Batman in my life.
Yeah, same here.
Whether it's a comic, whether it's TV, whether it's animation, whether it's something.
Whether it's
always...
working on it, yeah.
Yeah, or whether it's just looking at a poster in my room. There's something Batman-oriented in my day.
The other day, because I was working on some drawings, and I just kind of not really so much for like drunk Batman, but just kind of like other drawings. Just I use it for a reference. Like there's this one scene in Batman Hush, where Batman's in this one really cool pose. I'm gonna try and mimic that pose a little bit. And I opened that book up, and before I knew it, I started reading that fucking book. And I wasn't really actually even drawn anymore.
Yeah, it just kind of happens.
Yeah, but should probably start talking about
because we got so many fuck ton of movies to talk about.
I want to say this real quick though before we do jump into the movies. I want to say that like usually it feels kind of weird that we're doing this podcast now because I know we've been releasing the podcasts like we usually do, but this is like one of the first podcasts we recorded, and I want to say almost like a week, which feels weird because we recorded like 2 or 3.
We did like 3 podcasts in like under 5 days, so like it kind of gave us like a period where you could take a break.
And it feels so weird because we went to go see all these movies and did not do a podcast afterwards. It was just
like, we'll just put them in one big fat block.
Well, no, it was awkward because it was almost kind of like usually once we're done with the podcast, we'll go get some food and we'll record and then that's that. It was almost kind of like, since we were seeing so many over the last course of the days, it was almost kind of like, so I'll call you? Yeah, I'll call. It was almost kind of like...
I'll get back to you.
It was almost kind of like a one-night stand kind of thing. So
just over and over.
Yeah, you doing good? Yeah, I'm doing good. So I'll see you later. Yeah, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I guess
you'll hear from me, you know. So it was kind of like just this awkward...
So, 47 Ronin next in 2 days? Yeah, sure.
Is that good for you? Yeah, it's good for me. Yeah, okay, see you, man. You know? So it's just very weird. But, should probably start off with the one we saw most recent, because that's probably most fresh in our head.
You want to? It doesn't matter to me.
Well,
let's just start. I guess we can start. Like, you want to start with which one? You pick a movie.
Well, let's actually. You know what? Let's actually just start with 47 Ronin since you mentioned it.
Okay, we'll start the 47 Ronin. That'll be our gateway.
I'll say this. That was probably my least favorite of the ones. I mean, I thought the movie was alright. Thought I'd like it a lot more, but it was just kind of, I played it too safe.
See, I liked it, like, I knew it was PG-13, so I kind of expected the same thing. I wasn't expecting, My Last Samurai or something cool like that. I actually did enjoy it, though. I mean, really what it is, it's saying, hey, let's take this classic story and do it fucking Pirates of the Caribbean style. Well, with a little bit less comedy, but, like...
Well, here's the kind of thing with me on that one. I didn't think the movie was horrible. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it was all right. My thing was they took this classic samurai story, which is a very grounded in reality story, and they just
it's a real thing.
Well, yeah, it is a real thing. I know that, but it's a very plausible story in real life. And then they keep true to that story for the most part. But they just drop in a few little like fantasy elements. And those few fantasy elements they just drop in kind of throw the whole thing off. I think
because there's not enough of them.
There's not enough of either of the stuff. Because I think that in the context of... Alright, so here's an example. 300. That fight happened. Is that movie accurate? No, that movie's way over the fucking top.
Well, what that movie does, I think that's cool, though, is it takes, like, say, a personality of a character, and, in a sense, by the way that people would telephone talk that way out, so, they keep saying it, it kind of changes. That's almost how those characters are depicted in that movie, and I kind of like that style that it is.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying that
so this guy, they say, like, oh, man, he was a huge guy. Well, they make him fucking 10 foot, tall or what have you,
Yeah.
Or that guy, like, that poor retarded guy. Well, we'll make him fucking ugly as fuck so people hate him even more.
I felt kind of bad for that guy, because I'll say this, because, like...
Well, I understand why that guy does that.
No, because they almost try to make that guy really villainous, but it's like, no, I totally get where that guy's coming from. That guy... was fucking cast out by him at a very young age. He was thrown down the abortion hole.
Yeah.
And then he
got
out. And he said, you know what? Even though these guys fucking abandoned me at fucking birth, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try and help him out. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'll take my father's spear and I'm going to fucking die for my kingdom. What do you say? Nah, fuck you. Get out of our face.
You're like, it's like, I could be your jizz rag. No, we don't need one of those either.
Yeah. So then it's just like... No fucking duh, you went to the bad guys. So then, like, Leonidas just gives him this look of shame. Just like, I want you guys to win, but really, that you were fucking dicks to that guy. Come on.
Yeah, what do you expect?
Yeah, so I feel bad for that guy. I totally get where he's coming from. But anyway.
I guess I could see that, like, when some people, like, mention that movie's, like, Republican propaganda, which always seems like, really? But maybe, like, that's part of it right there.
I never thought of it as Republican propaganda.
I never have, but I've heard that from people say that, like...
I know Frank Miller's become fairly, like, extremely conservative over the years, but I don't believe it's Republican propaganda. I just think it's fucking fantasy war film at the end of the
Yeah.
day. But no, anyway, get back to this one. But I mean, I think if they did more of a 300 thing, because 300, they just made it so big, they made it so epic. And at the end of the day, this is about two rivaling clans, and those two clans are still, I mean, one's bigger than the other, but it's not, in scale, it doesn't look that much bigger. It looks like this could be really set in reality for the most part, for most of the story.
Yeah.
It's just they take a few moments, like we're going in the Tengu forest, and when they go get the swords for the Tengu and that kind of stuff. And a lot of it doesn't really come back around or play an important part again. It's just kind of these moments they have just to, like, you know, this will look cool in the trailer, throw it in there. Like there's like on the poster and in the trailer, there's like the pirate looking dude that's all like tattooed skeleton up with an old school gun slung over his shoulder. That guy is in the movie for literally a minute.
Yeah, if
a
that
minute.
even.
Yeah, and he doesn't even do anything. He just says like, "Oh yeah, go this way." You know, that's all. And it almost felt kind of like. Plus, there's the whole thing. I mean, Keanu Reeves did a good job, but at the end of the day, though, his character, you didn't really need his character that much because the other guy, who was, I guess, the lead samurai, he was really the main character of the movie. Reeves was just there to give you sympathy for somebody.
Yeah, he was there for the white people to have somebody to relate to. And they always gotta, like, in American movies, you always gotta have those kind of guys. It's like, that guy's there so that, like, somebody, you know, the white people's like, well, he's half white, so we can relate to that guy, you know.
Well, even
Mom
that...
and Pop in Oklahoma can't relate to Japanese people.
I'll say this, because you and Wes were giving me shit last week on the whole thing about, like producer Dunigan, like, the whole movie, because I reheard that podcast. Let me reiterate. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like, at least they got a guy that was half Asian, rather than just getting, like, you know, some total kind of, like, you know...
Well, I think that works for Keanu Reeves. The only thing I think is kind of weird is the fact that he's, like, 50 years old or so, give or take. And and everybody else there is, like, probably anywhere between 25 and 35. And it's just, Keanu Reeves is like, in the sense he's like the old man of the bunch, he's just getting shit on the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, like, the other aspect, because, like, at the end of the story is they have to, they go against, because, you know, they go against, like, Emperor Poutyface. Emperor Poutyface comes in.
Which is pretty much Emperor Shao Tsung from Mortal Kombat.
He looks so much just like Emperor Poutyface, because he just has these puckered lips, just like, meow.
Well, like in Mortal Kombat, it was like he was Shao Tsung and he was in good shape and he was threatening looking, and now he's just like, oh, I'm Emperor.
Pretty much. And then like, they don't make him like
your soul will be mine!
Yeah, I was kind of partially expecting that for a second. No, what happens, though, is he's all like, look, yeah, I know that you don't like this guy over here, and he might be responsible for your master's death, and you guys are all Ronin, but don't go after him. Why? Just don't go after him. Just don't do it. Really? Yeah, that's it. Bye. Out. That's that. And when they go after him, alright, let me tell you the things that happen in this movie. They fucking fight like some kind of like bull monster thing through the woods. They go against Tengus. They fight a bitch that turns into a dragon. They do all this shit. And when they go against the Emperor's just like, yeah, you guys gotta kill yourself because I don't like what you did.
But it's an honor because, you know, generally you guys would get hung like dogs in the street, but I'm feeling generous today, so you guys can kill yourselves.
You could, like, take a piece of metal, stick it in your own guts, and turn in front while everyone's watching and eating popcorn.
Yeah.
You know? So, it's kind of like, in the context of the real story, I get that. But in the context of a movie where, like, in the context of the movie, Keanu Reeves should have stood up and, like, motherfucker, I just killed a fucking dragon! What the fuck makes you think we can't take out all these motherfuckers right here?
Well, it has, like, the one thing about the Keanu Reeves character at the very end killing himself, it kind of has that thing, like, well, you know, he's finally accepted, so now you're gonna kill yourself, everybody. It's almost like one of them's like, fuck this. For 50 fucking years, these guys didn't allow me to be myself.
Pretty much.
I am not being one of them now. I may have helped out, but fuck that.
I guess that's the difference between, like, the Japanese story and the American story.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that you watch that and you're like, it's like, in Japan, you can see how, like, that's like, it'd be like, this is great, you know, value right here.
No, I'm gonna say, like, I still think
you will be a proud warrior in death. And it's like in America, be like, you know, you get that Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid and you're like, well, fuck that, we're going out dying.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like more the, for me, in my opinion, it's more like if this movie was realistic and didn't have the fantasy aspect, that would be totally fine, because I get an Emperor.
If it was sort of like a drama movie.
Yeah, and I get that.
Like a drama war film.
Exactly, but when it's a fantasy movie, it's just like, I saw you guys just take out this entire fucking base.
Take out this fucking Emperor.
I saw, yeah, and if you want to go full fantasy, like make the Emperor. Don't make him like some guy with just like a couple of guards with shiny armor. Give him like
make a demon lord or something.
He's like riding in on a fucking dragon or some shit, or he has like like those. There's that one big giant metal like samurai that was on the bad guy's side. Like give him an army of those guys.
Yeah, just have like his guards be those guys.
Something that makes sense. Like okay, we got to do what this fucker says.
Yeah, I don't know. It was funny like in Japanese movies that they always talk about like being a Ronin being like, oh, it's the biggest disgrace ever. That seems like fucking awesome.
It does.
It's like you're a samurai who can do whatever he wants.
It's just the cowboy.
Yeah, it really is. That's what
Japanese
Ronin
cowboy.
is, the cowboy, and it's funny how like that seems fucking way better.
Now this seems.
Why would not everybody would want to be Ronins? I think if it was in America, everybody would be Ronins.
I don't know what it's called, and usually I'd be like, why would you remake this? But in this case, I want to see it. There's a remake to Unforgiven, but it's a Japanese remake involving samurai.
See, that sounds badass.
It's starring Ken Watanabe.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I'm fucking down. I don't know what it's called. I'm just gonna type in Unforgiven Ken Watanabe on like Bing or something, see what pops up. Mm-hmm. But I want to see that movie just like that.
That sounds awesome. See, that sounds like a sweet samurai film.
I think if there's one thing you can get away with when it comes to westerns and samurai movies and remakes, it's like converting those two.
Well, I think
Magnificent
that's
Seven,
what, I always think that's the best way to kind of do like because you're not necessarily doing a remake. You're doing the same story structure, but you give it this huge twist. It pretty much is a brand new movie. Mm-hmm. That's like Yojimbo and Fistful of Dollars. It's like, okay, story-wise, it's the same story. Mm-hmm. But movie-wise, it's not like you're watching the same movie whatsoever.
It's kind of funny because there's that one, what's that one you have? I saw them, I didn't see...
Oh, you're talking about the one, it's the
Django...
I can't think of it. It has such a weird name that
Dango or Dango Samurai. It was literally like
that was pretty much a Fistful of Dollars, but with...
It's weird when you think about
it. Like, it's sort of like that weird, like, I guess it's almost like a fantasy still, because they got like guns and stuff in it too.
Well, it was more like very stylized. I'm not sure it's fantasy, but very stylized.
Yeah, I just don't know how to.
Very stylized history, because there's guns and there's still swords. It was like very Western instead of old feudal Japan or something.
Yeah.
But the thing about that movie was that it's kind of weird about that is it's like it's a remake of Fistful of Dollars. Mm-hmm. Yet, Fistful of Dollars is a remake of
Yojimbo.
Which, whatever, that works. It was still, that movie was weird, but it was still enjoyable. So.
Yeah, that movie was still pretty cool. I've only watched it once. Mm-hmm. I need it just, the many things, you watch a movie and you keep going to the next one, and then you somehow, some way, you don't always get back to some movies.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino was in it for a second.
Which was like the weirdest fucking part, because it looked like it was shot like on like a high school play stage of some sort.
It did, yeah. And there's a part like, he's like, there's this chick, she's a total badass, but you see her when she's younger. It's like, this is not how you make fucking ramen! Starts like slapping her.
Sometimes Quentin Tarantino, when he's not like in his own movies, he has like the weird, and I feel like he just chooses like, I want that fucking weird ass part.
He just goes on a plane to Japan. Like, are you guys looking for a movie? Like, oh, Kill Bill-san, it's Kill Bill-san,
what's he want? He wants the weird ass part. Whatever movie you got, you give him the weird ass part.
I might be wrong. I'm guessing Japan loves Quentin Tarantino. I'm guessing.
Probably. Who doesn't love Quentin Tarantino? Some folks.
Yeah, some folks, yeah. But, I guess...
That's like, it's like that one movie I have, like, Destiny turns on the radio. Like,
oh, you told me about that.
And I remember, I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, there's a movie that stars Quentin Tarantino. I fucking gotta see this. And there's just this weird part where he rises out of like a fucking pool, like in the outskirts of like Las Vegas.
You told me. He's like
lightning behind him.
You don't really want to see. I like Quentin Tarantino, but I don't want to see. I don't want to see him with his shirt off. I don't.
Yeah, he has a shirt. At least I don't think he's naked. I think he's got either pants or it just doesn't show, or God knows what. Probably put a leaf right there, like Dragon Ball Z.
Just like he refused the scene unless he did it naked. So he's got the guys who did the editing from Funimation to come in and just throw a leaf over that shit.
Leaf on that shit.
Why those guys? No one else would do it.
It probably wasn't Funimation that time. It was probably the Canadian guys.
Okay. Oh, it was. Oh,
I think so, because I think that's where it comes from. Is like that original thing.
Oh, okay.
And I think Funimation bought out those guys, and that's how they got it, or what have you.
Just went in like Kirby, just dropped down and just like sucked everything. Yeah. So yeah.
So 47 Ronin, that's the way I look at it. I think it's a decent picture. I think it's definitely a worth watching, because it does still have good stuff in it. It's not like it's got cool visuals and, just including like the strange like forced in fantasy where it's like it's almost like not enough. It was like more Lord of the Rings like where it was in there like a lot. and it really had a fantasy twist, I think that'd work. But since it's kind of like in parts,
and just to clarify on some things, in the size of like kind of the two clans going at it, if like the one clan, to make it like add in more fantasy aspect, if it was just bigger, if it was like they're going against like this Lord of the Rings size army or something, I think that would have really played up the fantasy aspect of it. But since it was still so grounded in reality, and then just dropped in these fantasy things, that's what made it seem off key. I still think there's some cool things about it. Like I like the fight when you see Keanu Reeves, because when he gets sold into slavery, because he's not really a samurai. Since he's a half breed, he's just kind of like their whooping boy. He's the whooping boy of this samurai house.
He's like he's adopted. Like they adopt him just so they can like beat him almost.
But the master,
and they give him like a whack shack out like in the woods. He's not allowed to live in the kingdom, and
the master likes him though. Even though he lets all this shit happen, he likes him. Which I thought was kind of funny when like the main guy who I don't remember the actor's name, but he was actually, I want to say that was the guy who was Silver Samurai's son in Wolverine.
Huh. He might have been. I can't tell you.
That guy, and I also want to say in The Last Samurai, he was I don't remember the character's name.
The guy gets his hair cut off?
No, not him. But he was the guy who did not like Tom Cruise. And like when Tom Cruise, he's like, you stay down! He's like beating the shit out of him in the rain.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that's him.
God, The Last Samurai, that's a fantastic movie.
It sounds so weird because it's like one of those things like, of course, you white people like it because it's got a white guy as a samurai. That's not even the case, though. I just think it's a good movie.
No, it's such a good movie. I mean, and even though it's like that kind of story, I think is always kind of an interesting one. It's kind of got the same thing as like Dances with Wolves, where a white guy is thrown into like some other culture, and at first he's not the biggest fan of it, and then becomes like he really likes it a lot, and then he wants to protect it so much that he becomes one of them.
Yeah. No,
I like that kind of thing.
I like that flick, and this one, it's not that, but whatever. It's I thought the whole part when he goes to get Keanu Reeves from like the pirate ship, and
that probably was like the coolest scene in the entire movie.
Because some of the fights, like that fight scene, was pretty cool. When he's fighting that guy and he's fighting the big giant ogre looking thing, that was a pretty cool scene. And even like the part when they go into the Tengu and they're looking at the Tengus, it's kind of like a Tool music video because they're shaking really fast in place and shit.
And that's cool. I think there's like, it's one of those movies. I think it has a lot of cool moments.
It has cool moments
and a lot of cool parts. It's maybe not really like worked together as well as it could have been. But it is one of those ones like, when was the last fucking time you saw a samurai movie theatrically in the U.S.?
No, yeah, I totally get you. I guess maybe I was thinking like, man, it's been so long since there's been a theatrical samurai movie in the U.S. I'm really looking forward to it. Then I think
it's kind of like Man with the Iron Fist. Like you kind of like, for some reason, I think you see this, you're like, this is gonna be the fucking shit. And then you get there and it's like, it's good, but it's not as good as you.
I like Man with the Iron. I like Man with the Iron Fist more. This movie, I still say it's worth watching. It's not as amazing as I thought it would be. I think it's all right. It's all right, I think. But I really, it's definitely worth seeing though, at least once. I think.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. I can see seeing it again. But yeah. Well, let's go on to like what I think might be almost the best movie of the year, or damn near close to it. The Wolf of Wall Street, which was fucking amazing.
Here's one we definitely both agree on, because that movie was just absolutely fucking hilarious. They say
I just want to say this. I told Ryan this when we were done seeing this. Like that was like the definition of our comedy, right there. Like that movie almost felt like it was written for us.
I felt like that.
We should have been at the fucking like screening, right? Martin Scorsese would be like, these guys fucking love it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was like tailored to me, like perfect, like 100%.
I almost just wanted to get up and just throw money at this fucking screen after watching that.
Yeah, that's how good it was. Take my fucking money!
Yeah, that's how I felt, because I really fucking love that movie. I don't know what's my favorite, but it's definitely within at least the top 2 or 3.
I know, to me it's like one of those ones, every day, like when we saw it, I was like, that's fucking amazing. But, and I was like, man, it's up there. It's fucking like Goodfellas, good as much as that. And each day after I see it, it just gets better and better. Kind of like when you see those, but like, in a sense, sort of like when you see a movie where you watch it, sort of how we felt with The American, right? We're like, not like, the way we walked out, that's different, but I'll explain it into it. When we saw The American, we walked out, we're like, well, it was good, nothing amazing. And as time went on, it got even better. And you're like, you know what? The American is a really good movie, actually.
Exactly.
Well, Wall Street was like, I walked out there going, that was fucking awesome. And then each day it's just like, it elevates to a new level of awesome. Like, I don't even have a word for it because fantastic, awesome, and spectacular are already used in the first day.
I couldn't help but just fucking crack up throughout most of that movie. Because the thing about it is, what's cool about it is, it's not just kind of like, oh, your average comedy. It has the structure of a drama. It totally plays. It's the story of a drama, but the comedy is so consistent. And there's a few moments where it stops to be serious for a minute, but most of the comedy, it's just so fucking dead on. Like, there's a part where it's just so, people got so offended by the movie. I'm like, what's so offensive? Like, 2 people got up and walked out of the movie like 15 minutes in.
Before we saw that movie, when I looked up the show times on the internet, I saw it had like the red star. It had like a 1 out of 5 on Fandango. And I was like,
fuck Fandango.
I was like, I got it. Well, it wasn't, no, not Fandango didn't rate it though.
Oh, okay.
It's the people that rated it.
Fuck the people on Fandango.
And I had to go look at I just had to see, and it was like, I was really laugh because I was reading them. You know, like 3 of them would be bad, and then somebody would give it like a 5 out of 5. I'm like, this is the best fucking movie ever. But people were like, it was so offensive. There was too much language, too much nudity, and too much drug use. I am fucking offended. So they didn't say fucking because they would be like, there was too many F-bombs and too many sea-suckers and...
Oh my god. I was laughing so hard throughout that whole fucking movie. And like the funny thing about it was there is actually... It's just small little things. Like there's the part where Jonah Hill, when he first meets Jonah Hill, and they're sitting. That's not when they first meet, but after they're getting to know each other for a little while. Because what happens is Jonah Hill meets Leo DiCaprio. He's like, "How'd you get that car? I want to be fucking like you. I want to work for you. I'm working for you right now. I'm quitting my fucking job." He's like,
"Show me your pay stub, and I'll work for you."
By this point he's working for some little tiny hole in the wall.
Kind of like a children's furniture store.
Oh, Leo DiCaprio. Yeah, he's.
Oh no, not Leo DiCaprio, but Jonah Hill.
Yeah, like Leo DiCaprio's working for some little kind of like hole in the wall investors company type deal, and then he starts up his own.
You can even start from the beginning. First, it starts off and Leo comes in. He's kind of like this very like clean, nice guy who's just getting into the business or whatever, and he gets a job on Wall Street, and it's in like the, you know, kind of mid 80s, you could probably say by that point, 86, 87, somewhere ballpark average. And Matthew McConaughey's his boss, and you know, he's kind of showing him the ropes, and it's got this fucking great scene. They're in this fancy diner in New York, and they're just sitting there kind of having this conversation, and Matthew McConaughey's going like, man, you know, you gotta do some drugs, because, you know, you need something to get you up. I mean, you take a hit of cocaine, and you can tap those buttons 10 times faster. You know, and then my favorite...
There's a line right in the restaurant, too.
Yeah, he's doing one right in the restaurant, and then he looks at Leo, and he's like, well, how much you jerk off in a week? And Leo's like, well, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a week or so. He's like, no, man, you gotta jerk off like 2 or 3 times a day. I mean, I jerk off twice a day. It's not because I want to, because I need to. It's this job, man.
So, just you get leviated. No one fucking knows. No one knows how this thing works. We're all just bullshitting. You just gotta, you gotta get their fucking money in your pocket. And he goes in, like he says, like, trust me, you gotta jerk off. It keeps you level, keeps you balanced. Before you know it, you won't be thinking about pussy. You'll be thinking about money when you jerk off. So, we're like busted up. By that point, the guy in front of us gets up and walks out of the fucking...
This is like 10... maybe 15 minutes in the movie. Maybe.
And I'll say this right here, because before a while I was like, I don't know if Matthew McConaughey's really my thing. And he does these kind of roles in these kind of movies. That's when I really like Matthew McConaughey.
Well, you know, whenever I see Matthew McConaughey, he always does a really good job. It's like, you know, I don't see all the movies he's in, but whenever I do see him, I always like him a lot.
I guess I'm just kind of like, I'm not really into a lot of movies he does, because he does a lot of romantic comedies, but lately he's been doing...
dramas and...
He does dramas, but a lot of times he's one of those guys, he's in like almost every romantic comedy for a couple of years. But he's starting to do more different things. Like, I saw the movie Mud. Mud was a really good movie. He was the star of that. This movie, even though it's a short part, he's awesome in it.
Yeah,
so.
he's only in it for like 20 minutes maybe, but he's great.
So I know he's a good actor. And yeah, so after watching this movie, just like, oh yeah, do more stuff like this, because this is just fucking awesome. And then Black Monday happens... So he loses his job.
So yeah, Wall Street goes down the crapper for a bit. So, you know, Leo's kicked out because he's the new guy on the team. And then he goes to work for a penny stock company. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this point in time, you know, penny stocks are bigger now, but at this point they were just kind of like the whatever stocks. Nobody fucking bought them except for like people got suckered into them.
Yeah.
And really the whole story of this is how Leo takes penny stocks and sucker punches every, you know, buddy out there telling them they're going to make these huge fortunes on these like crappy startup like backyard companies, and then, you know, he gets the money and they think they're gonna make a lot of money and they never end up really actually getting anything.
And what's funny about that is there's a part where he goes in, he thinks like, okay, there's this startup company, I'm just gonna go in there. He goes in there, and it's just like, he's like the most professionally dressed guy. You see all like these schlubs just in there. He goes, there's like, he meets the guy running. He's like, hi, I'm Brian, and like, so how much are you guys making on these? Like, oh, we make about, you know, X amount. It's not a whole lot of money. I don't remember what it is. He says, are you fucking kidding me? Make that much? What if I was to get you $5,000. If you give me $5,000, I'll suck your dick. And I'd want to, too.
Well, no, at first he kind of gets, because he hears, and he's like, well, you make 50% off these. He's like, fuck, I only made like 10% off the ones in Wall Street. Mm-hmm. You're telling me you get 50% off this? He's like, so if I made $10,000, I'd get $5,000 out of it. Yeah. Then he goes into that.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, and I'll suck your dick. I want to suck your dick.
I want to.
It's just like small lines like that. And then like he puts together his own kind of like ragtag team, starts up his own business. That's when Jonah Hill comes in, and this is probably my favorite conversation in the whole fucking movie, where they're having like lunch together, and he's like, "Look, the guy's been talking. I'm just kind of curious. I just want to know. If you don't want to talk about it, it's totally fine." I'm like, "Oh, that's fine. It's about your wife." "Yeah, what about my wife?" "They say you're married to your cousin." I'm like, "Oh, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. You see." My wife, my wife is my mom's sister's daughter.
So she's your first cousin.
Yeah, but it's nothing weird. Not all you think. You see, it's one of those things like, I always try to look out for my family. I love my family. Try to be good to them. And my wife, she's fucking hot. So all these guys always trying to fuck my cousin.
Well, he's like, my friends, all my friends want to fuck my cousin, and I'm like, why don't my friends fuck my cousin? So I'm gonna fuck my cousin.
Who's gonna fuck my cousin? It's gonna be me. Before we knew it, we had a kid, and you know that happens. And he looks at me, he's like, wait. So is the kid, kid what? You fucking know. He's like, oh no, kid's totally fine. I mean, there's a good chance. There's a 65% chance that could happen, but doesn't happen, thankfully. He's like, well, what if it did? Like, I don't know, probably 5, 6, take him out to the pasture, open the door, you're free, go on. And he's just going on. It's like, no, I wouldn't do that. I'd fucking drop him off an institution, make him someone else's fucking problem. So it's just kind of like one.
And then I love Marcus afterwards, he's like, dude, I got a present for you. He's like, oh, we'll pull it out. He's like, no, you gotta go back. He's like, oh, okay. Goes up back, he's like, dude, I got some crack.
It's just like those kind of things are just so consistent throughout the movie. And they get across that they're big time junkies. And what happens is,
the big thing they're taking is the Quaaludes.
In like Coke. Quaaludes and Coke.
Yeah, Quaaludes and Coke. That's like the thing. Coke to help you work, and then Quaaludes to like make you like have a good time afterwards.
And they kind of show how money just drives these guys fucking crazy, because they end up having like these insane parties in the fucking office, like people in their underwear handing out checks, chimpanzees fucking running around, people just straight up fucking hookers right in the bathroom, or at their table right in front of people. So it's this weird fucking freak show that goes on once they get really rich off this company he started in a little auto shop, generally, an abandoned auto shop. And he, of course, ends up cheating on his wife, gets a new wife, and all this other drama happens. But the movie's just fucking hilarious with the whole thing. There's like one scene where he explains the Quaaludes, and the nickname they have for him is just Ludes.
That's what they call them in like general. It's not like just this movie.
Oh, I know. I'll be honest. This is the first time I kind of heard about him.
You never heard about Quaaludes?
Never really.
The weirdest thing about Quaaludes, I've never seen them in real life. I've only read about them. Mm-hmm. And when you read about things, a lot of times you picture things completely different. Because like in The Dirt, they talked about Quaaludes a lot in the beginning, like towards like the early '80s and stuff. Uh-huh. And for some reason, I pictured a Quaalude not being a pill. I don't know why. I when I read The Dirt and all that stuff, I pictured it being kind of like, I don't know, like this, almost like sort of like the soft like almost like a donut or some sort. Because they talk about breaking them in half, and like I don't picture breaking a pill in half. You know what I mean?
It's really hard.
Yeah, that just looks difficult. So I just pictured it being something soft and something you ate and you got really high off of. And then it's like, oh, it's a scientifically created like pill in the 50s for like housewives to go to sleep. Well, it all makes sense now. Fucking reading doesn't always help you out figure out what things are.
What ends up happening though is they actually explain what they are. And there's a part that says like, now these things will knock you out, but if you fight it, you will go fucking insane. When he says that, they're at having this big pool party at like Leo DiCaprio's house, and then like Jonah Hill sees Leo DiCaprio's next future wife, and he literally, I'm guessing this is probably in the NC-17 cut, because an earlier version of this movie was rated NC-17.
Really?
Yeah, he's having trouble with it. And he was like fucking jerking off, just staring at the fucking wife.
In public.
And people are just pointing and laughing. Like,
oh, what the fuck?
And he actually falls over. You can tell Jonah Hill, it's like probably a strap-on or something. We actually show it for a second.
Well, speaking of like the Quaaludes, I was telling our friend Kyle's dad, Steve, about it. I was telling how sweet like the Wolf of Wall Street was and whatnot. And I was talking about the Quaalude parts and whatnot, and Steve's like, I took a Quaalude once, and next thing you know, it was the next day, and I woke up on somebody's couch. I had no idea what the fuck happened. And then by that point, I was still high. I was still wondering what was going on.
There's the one part where they take the lemons. And
the lemons being like the highest grade Quaalude or what have you, and they were like 15 years old or something.
Yeah, and he's like, I was saving these. And they like say like, you feeling it? You know, because this is like later in the movie.
They have like it's like a special occasion, and Jonah Hill breaks them out, and even like Leo's like, I'm getting prepared. Nothing's getting away with my high.
And like this is like probably like the beginning of the third act or something. And they take one, they're kind of sitting there, they're like, let's do this. And they just kind of waiting around for a little while, like nothing's happening. So they take like 3 or 4 more.
And then they go and start working out.
They start to work out. Still not feeling it, man. Still not feeling it. And then what ends up happening is Leo DiCaprio gets some important news that like his house has been bugged.
Yeah, and he has to go talk on a payphone.
So he goes like the local like nearest like country club with a payphone. As he starts talking on the phone, he can't talk. Like, is it blah blah blah? Starts just speaking in gibberish. He's like, that's when I realized they kicked in. They may have taken an hour and a half, but these motherfuckers kicked in with a few.
And he just falls back slowly, and the camera goes with him, and he just lands on the floor,
spazzing out for a second.
And the greatest part is just like there's like a 5-minute scene of him just as spazzed out as can be, and he's like, I had to get home.
And then what happens is they show him. This is like one of the funniest things I've seen in so long. It's like it's literally a 5-minute scene of Leo DiCaprio because he can't talk, he can't walk, he just kind of like limp using his shoulders, maybe his legs just a little bit across the floor.
Almost like a snake, if a snake had like little teeny arms and legs.
But barely even using his arms and legs, just like meh.
Well, that's what I mean, like he was like slithering almost across.
Just barely using him, trying to push it. Then you see him get to like a staircase, he's like meh, just rolls.
And it shows the staircase, I like the scene of the staircase, and it makes it like, you see a staircase, it's probably about like 6 stairs, but when he looks at it through his point of view, it's like there's like 15 stairs or something.
Then he rolls down, looks so fucking painful. Then he gets into his car. He like lifts the fucking Ferrari door open, just gets into his car and drives home. And he's trying, because Jonah Hill is on the phone.
What? I love this part too, because he explains, he's like, okay, if I just go really slow and make it real nice and easy, and it shows him driving, he's driving like 20 miles per hour, and it's only like 1 mile home, and people are like honking at him and all this stuff, and going, hey, get off the road, you fucking idiot! And then he gets home, and this all wraps around again, so go with the Jonah Hill part.
And then Jonah Hill's on the phone, and by this point, the Quaaludes have kicked on him, and he's trying to tell him to get off the phone because he can't talk business because his house is tapped. Mm-hmm. He's like, the house is tapped! Like, I don't know what you're saying, you know? Then they start fucking arguing, and then they're in like gibberish.
Jumps across like the kitchen table, but like all spazzed out.
With like dinosaur arms, basically, like T-Rex arms trying to strangle him.
And they're all wrapped up in the phone line, and they're just like,
and the kid is watching this from the corner of the room the whole time.
Like, there's my dad and his friend, and they're like full on retarded at the moment.
And then like what happens is like for whatever reason Jonah Hill grabs a piece of ham, and like, while this is happening, he starts to eat it, then he starts to choke. And then he's like, the wife's like, you gotta save him, he's a father. Then he looks over, like, he grabs, like, there's a parallel action. Popeye is on TV.
The kid was watching Popeye.
He pulls out some cocaine, does the cocaine as he's doing that. Popeye eating the spinach, and he gets super stuck, like runs at him.
Starts pounding on his chest.
So it's like, it's really sick, dark comedy, but it's so fucking hilarious. It's the kind of comedy I love.
And then I love because it leads in, the police come, and they're all like, sir, did you fucking drive home? And it shows the Ferrari that at first, like when Leo originally explains it, he made it home totally fine. And you just see the thing's just trashed. It was just destroyed. And then it cuts back to a scene where he's the guy driving fucking 80 miles per hour, honking at everybody, running over everything and crashing in the cars. And then there's another one more scene, because I feel like there's so much to talk about. When it's a 3-hour-long movie, you feel like you got like way more to talk about than everything else. Mm-hmm. There's a part where like he has a Swiss bank account, and the lady's name that was under has passed away. That was like his step aunt or what have you. And now he's got to get there, and he's got to take his yacht from, I think they were in France, to get Switzerland or whatnot.
Something like that.
The captain's like, well, there's a bit of tide, so it might be a problem. A couple dishes might break. And he's like, whatever, fuck it, that's fine. We got one day, let's get there. And then it just cuts this humongous, fucking perfect storm going on. And then, they're going through, and this yacht is just going through these humongous waves. And there's a part where Leo's like fucking standing there. He looks at Jonah Hill. He's like, do you have the lewds? He's like, no, man, they're probably below deck. He runs over and he grabs me. He's like, I'm not fucking dying sober. And Leo's just got this like primal look. His bottom teeth are sticking out.
He's
His
hunched
eyes are
over.
wide.
I'm gonna say this. I really don't give a shit about the Academy Awards so much. I mean, if something I like wins or someone I like wins or gets nominated, that's cool. I'm glad for him. But I generally don't care. But I'm gonna say this. I legitimately want Leo DiCaprio to win Best Actor because A, he does a fucking awesome job. B, he should have been nominated for some stuff previously or won. C, he really fucking wants it, and he shows it in this movie.
Oh yeah, this is the performance of a lifetime.
Plus how physical he is. Just like the 5 minutes of him just like lumping across the ground to get into like his fucking Ferrari. And just anything else in the movie. Just how suave they can make him seem and so sleazy at the same time.
Yeah.
You know? It took this movie, this guy who's not likable, and you don't like him at all, but you still
like him.
You don't like him. He's not a really likable person, but you want to watch this movie about him because you want to see where this shit goes.
Yeah, and he's just it's funny and it's got a great story and it's based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
And all the characters are great too. Not even just Leo, but Jonah Hill and Matthew McConaughey and all those other guys. And it's even got.
There's the part where like they have. He says, "Yeah, my new wife. She ended up getting this not really classy like." Gay butler, and then like they leave for a second, and then like she comes home. There's this giant gay orgy party going on at their place,
and somehow somewhere like $40,000 was stolen.
So the gay guys always explain like, look. I understand it. Shit happens. We're a bunch of degenerates, but I just want to know who stole the fucking money. And a couple of his buddies, early on buddies from the movie, are there. And they're just like, look, man, I don't know who took it. Yada, yada, just going on. One of them just gets up, just punches the guy right in the face. It's like some straight out of Goodfellas. They then carry the guy and lean him over the top of this
50 floors up.
Yeah. So and like what happens is then they call the fucking cops over, and he says like, but I paid the cops off, so they didn't do nothing. They didn't really do nothing to bother us, you know. So the cops are like, okay, cool. They just bat him with the baton as they carry him out. This guy got punched in the face and like held over.
Poor guy. It's not his fault.
So that may be my favorite movie of the year. I'm not.
I know it's one of those ones. I think
top 2 or 3 at least.
It's one of those ones. I feel if I had a second watching of it, it probably would be. I do have that feeling. I always feel like you got to watch a movie twice to have the exact knowledge of, what it is. Because sometimes you see a movie once, you're like, that's fucking amazing, and then you go back and like, okay, well, it's still amazing, but maybe not as amazing as I once thought, or vice versa,
Yeah.
Or somewhere in between. Mm-hmm. But so far, I don't know, because it's like one of those ones. It's like Pain and Gain was that other movie, then it's kind of Pain and Gain is also in that same category. They kind of have similar type humor, similar type stuff. But I think The Wolf of Wall Street might be that ultimate movie of the year.
I think Pain and Gain. I want to say this real quick. That sort of seemed kind of like Michael Bay doing either like a Coen Brothers or Martin Scorsese type movie.
Yeah, because I guess what I mean is that Pain and Gain has that kind of same humor that Wolf of Wall Street sort of has. Where it's this kind of dark humor that's pretty offensive to a lot of people. Mm-hmm.
Funny as fuck to us.
But funny as fuck. Pain and Gain, I love that one too. It's like, I've watched that one so many times since I bought it.
I haven't seen this in theaters. I do want to get that movie because I really did like that movie.
Hopefully they'll release a better version of it though.
That's the reason I haven't bought it yet, because
I was so bummed that's the only thing that's like, it sort of brought it down because there's a movie I love so much and then I get the DVD and it's like, that's it? Or I get the Blu-ray and it's no fucking special features, no audio commentary, no nothing.
Yeah.
And then,
that's the reason I mainly haven't bought it yet, because it's still like kind of expensive.
Oh yeah, I think it's still like $15 for DVD, and it's not got anything on it.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of, maybe I'll wait a little bit on that one, and then after kind of seeing like Wolf of Wall Street, like what else did I see yesterday and day before? But we both saw, not at the same time, but we both saw Walter Mitty.
Yeah, and Walter Mitty, the way I thought about it, it was about as good as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't better, and it wasn't worse. It was about like the way when I saw the trailer, that's how good it was. It was just as good as I thought it was going to be.
I really liked Walter Mitty. I'm kind of with you right there. I thought it was I thought it was as good as it was gonna be. I'll say this. I mean, I don't like it as much as I like Wolf of Wall Street, but I still really liked that movie. And I'll say the reason I did is because, well, it is a feel good movie. It's kind of like a little bit of a heartwarming movie.
It's about a go out, man, and enjoy life.
Which those movies can be pretty good. Sometimes those movies can be like horrifically cheesy and bad. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those movies can be like really good and like just really make you want to do that. And that's what this movie does.
Yeah.
And on top of that, though, it also kind of comes around to, I'll say this, like, it's so easy. I mean, not so easy. Well, an R-rated comedy, that's kind of usually my favorite kind of comedies. But when you make a movie PG and you make it a comedy, there's a lot more kind of writing on. Now, luckily, this movie had more than a comedy going for it.
Yeah, because it was a dramedy as well. But
the comedy in it, though, worked.
Was really good.
It wasn't kind of like, oh, this is like really bad comedy. The comedy in it, it wasn't just like, that was kind of funny. I was legitimately laughing on certain parts. Like, there's a part in like Walter Mitty when he goes up, he's like, because what happens is he's trying to find the last picture to because he's a film developer at Life is going under. So, and they he sends in this whole like sheet of his last roll of film. The only one that's really usable is 25. 25 is missing. So he's going after Sean Penn
to find out where that 25 is.
Which wasn't his name actually Sean in the movie?
Yeah, his name was Sean in the movie.
Yeah. So he's going after him to find it. And of course, I knew this part, but it doesn't bother me. He got a wallet. He didn't really check the wallet. I'm like, it's in the fucking wallet. I know.
Yeah, like once you saw it, it's like, of course
it's going to be in the wallet. And then so then it's about him kind of like, his job's in the line, and he has kind of this thing for Kristen Wiig at the same time. He's trying to track down, and he daydreams, and as he goes on these adventures and trying to find Sean Penn, the daydreams kind of stop. And that's what I thought was kind of an interesting thing.
I like how they kind of have daydreams, because he'd have these daydreams where like he was like, he would do all these like these super heroic things that like almost like it is an action movie, he was like saving a kid from like a burning building, he fucking jumps out the window carrying it and all this stuff, and then goes back and he's just sitting like on the park bench or something.
Yeah, and then there's also the part where like he's carrying like a Stretch Armstrong with him to work, because his sister came like, oh, I remember this, it was your favorite toy when you were a kid, happy birthday. He gives him the Stretch Armstrong. And then, like, later he has this fantasy, like, the guy, this real douchebag with this beard, I guess he's the villain of the movie, technically.
Yeah.
Who's pretty much putting all these people out of work, comes in, starts giving him shit, then he imagines a guy trying to take the Stretch Armstrong. They get in this epic battle.
Like in the elevator.
Yeah, that leads, they jump out the building, they're going down the street, fighting.
And it's like it's like a superhero one where they get punched and they'll go straight through the pavement and everything. And
it's almost kind of like has like this Chemical Brothers type song playing in the background while all this stuff's going on. Mm-hmm. He just wakes up, he's still in the elevator.
Yeah, the guy's like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, so that was a good movie. And plus, the part that made me laugh that I thought was pretty funny was when he was in Greenland, and he went to go, and there was like the helicopter pilot there, like a drunken helicopter pilot, and he's all like, "Listen, man, I took that guy to this boat, and I'm gonna be leaving as soon as I'm done with this beer." He's like stares, he's like having trouble just closing his eyes, just kind of like
wobbling, sort of
stabilizing. He just holds on him for like 15 seconds. This guy just stabilizing, trying to finish a sentence. He says, "You want to come?" And he's all like, "No, I don't think I'm gonna go." He's like, "Isn't there a radio of some sort?" No, there isn't. If you want to come, though,
I'm taking the radio out there. They need a new one.
Yeah, so then he ends up going, and it's kind of like it's a little artsier stuff, but it actually kind of works for the movie. Then he starts daydreaming about as he's leaving, and he's thinking, "Well, this might be my last chance." He starts daydreaming. Sometimes this kind of stuff gets in the way of a movie for me, but this time
I think it works in this one.
It works in this one. He hallucinates Kristen Wiig with an acoustic guitar singing
Space Oddity.
Yeah, by David Bowie, and she's kind of following him out. And as he jumps, it's the part they show in the trailer when she's playing the guitar as he's hopping in the helicopter. And as they take off, the actual song kicks in. Mm-hmm. So it's a really good movie, and I.
The one that I thought in the movie, though, I kind of thought that he was going to go to more different places. He kind of really only goes to about 2 or 3 places. Mm-hmm. He goes first to Iceland first, and then he goes like to Greenland, and then
Afghanistan. He goes to Afghanistan, I want to say.
Is that right? Yeah, I guess that's where he goes.
The Uncharted Afghanistan.
Yeah, and for some reason, I guess I expected, like almost more adventure, like he seemed to go to all these places, but I was like, oh yeah, I guess the movie's not that long.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought it still worked because I still liked it because we got some interesting...
No, I'm not saying it didn't work.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, like in that, when you see the trailer, it feels like he's going to be going to all these different places, and he really only goes to a couple.
Well, like a little at the beginning of the third act, he goes back.
And then he goes kind of back, yeah.
At the beginning of the third act, like, that's it?
Yeah, it's like, that was one of the things I was like, oh, I guess the adventure part's kind of over. I mean...
Then he goes back. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does, but yeah. For some reason, I expected one of those movies where, like, he was going to go, like, everywhere. He was going to be in China and Australia. It was going to be this really, like, in-depth search. Yeah. It wasn't really that in-depth. It was kind of just like, bam, 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 bam. Oh, okay, here he is.
And I thought each one was enjoyable enough to when he was there.
Yeah, not saying anything bad, but it just... It just kind of felt like, it was pretty quick. It wasn't as big of an adventure as I don't know. I guess I thought it was going to be like that since.
Something I do like about it, though, is he was adventuring to places we don't see in American movies too much.
Yeah, that was kind of the cool thing. You don't always
The
get to see
cinematography was
Greenland.
just
Yeah, it had
beautiful.
great cinematography. That's really like one of the key things of that movie. And that part where he's at the volcano and he's like riding that skateboard down. That's a really nice scene.
that part is so cool. Yeah.
And they also get across at one point Ben Stiller. Now, in his older age, he's this guy who just daydreams and doesn't really have any social skills too much and whatnot. He's just kind of a loner. But before, he was just kind of like almost like punk rock skateboarder kid from like the 90s. Or late 80s, actually, I guess.
It's kind of a funny part when he was actually, because Kristen Wiig has this kid, and he's actually, the kid likes skateboarding, so he's all like...
He's trying to practice like a kickflip, and he just kind of sucks. He more just looks like how I look when I try to do that.
I thought they did a good job making him look pretty... They showed him doing all this stuff, actually.
The kid?
No, not the kid.
Well, I'm talking about the kid.
Stiller. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The kid looks like what I felt like when I tried to do all that stuff.
I got some skateboard stories in a second, but I thought what was kind of funny about that was there's just kind of little clever things, kind of like this. Like he kind of sees the moms there. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna look cool in front of the mom. So he's like, let me show you a few tricks. And Ben Stiller's doing these tricks in front of the kid and doing them good and landing. I'm like, oh, he's gonna land on his fucking face. And he's doing all the tricks, but whenever he does the trick, she happens to have her back turned. So it's like...
So she never knows he has all these skills.
Yeah, so... But I'm going to say, regarding skateboarding, I actually skateboarded for a little while.
I think everybody did. It was the 90s. It was part of life.
You wanted to, and then you want to be like... Then one day I realized, one day I'm actually have to slide down this half pipe. I can get hurt. Fuck that.
I made it down the half. I actually made it down the half pipes. That part I was able to do. It took about 15 fucking tries, and it kind of hurt every single fucking time.
People are like, what kind of tricks do you do? I'm more like the kind of guy who kind of like, he'll ride down the sidewalk as long as it's pretty level, no too many cracks.
Yeah, not too many cracks or divots.
I never really...
I got the big soft wheels.
So it's like, yeah, I was like totally a pussy when it came to extreme sports. I think everybody went through kind of like short extreme sports phase. If you grew up in the 90s.
I think what happens is you realize that, and this always, I notice this all the time, is there's always one kid who's really fucking good, and there's like 3 or 4 friends who are just there.
Oh, none of us were good.
Yeah, and see, I wasn't part of it. Like the person, Jesse was the person who was good at skateboarding, and everybody else around him was all like, it's okay, I'll get better at some point. And then you just kind of realize, you're like, well, fuck this, If I'm not good now, I'll never be good.
I kind of realized, I don't want to fall over and get cut. That was the thing. It wasn't like, I wasn't worried about, like, wiping out, breaking a knee, twisting an breaking my elbow.
Stuff, like, I don't
or like,
get an abrasion.
I don't want to, like, man, I might cut my knee. I might like scab my wrist if I fall
might get
down.
A bruise in my butt.
That was the shit I was worried about. I wasn't because like
God forbid if I fall, I land right back on the skateboard.
I can't. If I can't get past that, how the fuck am I gonna get past grinding down like a thing of stairs? I realized that, like, oh well, I got this nice cushy beanbag.
Yeah,
and I have Tony Hawk.
I can play Tony Hawk, and that's
exactly.
much more better environment for me.
Exactly.
Well, moving on to another movie, Grudge Match.
Oh,
speaking of,
we did see that, didn't we?
A different sport.
So many fucking
and
movies.
This is one of those ones, I really wanted to see this one a lot. This was actually the movie I wanted to see almost like the most. The only thing was, when I watched the trailer, I had this feeling like, this could be a stupid comedy, though. That was the only fear I slightly had. Good thing it wasn't.
As far as stupid comedy, what do you mean
just, kind of...
Like Kevin Hart being kind of Chris Tucker or something like that, or...
Not necessarily that, but, just kind of one of those slapsticky...
oh, I get you.
Something...
I thought there's too much heart in the trailer to do that, because they showed a little bit more of, like, they were older and they're having trouble
Yeah, well, it's one of those ones, though, but, like... I'm trying to think of an example of a movie, because, like, that's like that, where they try something in a similar kind of, like, way, and it kind of ends up being, like, wacky, kind of. Mm-hmm. And this one, good, that pretty much all the comedy was great. You only have to put up with that short black guy who's kind of like, his comedy, he's kind of one of those guys who, like, all his jokes feel like they came out like 2001.
Maybe as an actor, I don't know if he works that good, but he's a really good stand-up comedian. I like Kevin Hart. He's actually his stand-up comedy is really
he's one of those
fun.
guys, like, until recently, I've never seen that guy in anything.
He's one of those guys.
It feels like he just started appearing in movies.
He's been around for a while. He's just now getting kind of popular.
I guess the only thing is, like, maybe since he has been around for a while, but, like, his jokes kind of, like, whenever I see nowadays, it's like, and they make, like, that, like, oh, White is doing this, it's like, it's fucking 15 years later. Why are you making racist jokes again? I thought we were over this.
He's actually, he's a pretty funny comedian. Well, I think sometimes we'll get back to the movie.
Not saying he said some funny stuff, but he also said some stuff, too, where you're just kind of like, it comes across as like kind of like almost like if you could almost do like a 1950s like, oh, there's the black crows up there doing their thing.
Dumbo thing.
Yeah, it's almost like that, but like in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was almost like they allowed. It was like, well, I guess since we made jokes back in the day, I guess it's your time to make jokes, and it kind of was like that. No, don't do the reverse racism thing. Just let's all kind of get past that part.
I'll say this on, like, I just want to say this about, like, kind of racist jokes sometimes. I think that, like, you know, like, sometimes as long as it's, at the heart of it is funny, that's fine. Like, because Dave Chappelle, he has some great white people jokes. I think at the heart, because there's
I think Dave Chappelle does it well. I guess it's most ones because
I think sometimes you get some comedians who it's like, they don't really, it's not so much of a joke at the end of the day, it's more of just complaining about something. Or Dave Chappelle, he might have a racist white joke, but it's really fucking funny.
Yeah, well, Dave Chappelle's different. He's one of those kind of guys, I think, because he can pull it off somehow, some way. But kind of like one of the jokes, it's like, it's in the trailer, so it's like, everybody should know what it is. But like the part where he's like, well, you want to make some grunting sounds, like, ooh, 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 but you don't want to be a black person's voice because that might scare people. It's like, that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, dude, what the fuck are you? And it's like,
we don't know if he wrote that.
Well, no, I don't know he wrote it, but it's just like, those kind of, it's like, when I hear that, it's just kind of like, it just feels like, the movies used to have that like a lot at about the turn of the century, and it's just kind of like those kind of. It's just kind of like, come on, let's get past that. You know, I know there's a bump in the road for a while, but you know, but other than that, I mean, he really says, you know, he probably says about 5 of those jokes or so, give or take, in the movie, and the rest of his stuff isn't too bad. He is kind of like, I think he sells himself as being like, I'm annoying and I got a high pitched voice and I'm short.
I haven't really. I don't know if I'm going to see that ride along movie, but
it's kind of like that. Yeah, that ride along one's coming out one too. He's like, I'm annoying, I'm short, and I got a high pitched voice.
I've kind of
that movie. That Riley movie, even though it looks kind of looks like a stupid comedy, it probably if you watch it, I bet you it's pretty decent at least.
Probably decent, yeah.
You know, you probably walk out enjoying it, I bet.
And Ice Cube does pretty good.
I like Ice Cube, yeah.
I like Friday, you know. So, and he was great in 21 Jump Street, but he's playing the angry, stereotypical black guy. But he acknowledged it. He's like, use your motherfucking stereotypes. I mean, that's a funny ass movie. But anyway, Grudge Match though.
That movie was just great, though. It really was. It could have been pretty much Rocky, 7.
Yeah. And, like, the Raging Bull 2.
Yeah, Raging Bull 2.
No, but that was a good flick. And what I liked about it was it didn't kind of, like, where were we at, Grudge Match? Oh, yeah, well, I thought what was actually pretty smart about it was Stallone. He was actually playing a little bit more of kind of, like... Because a lot of times he's kind of playing, like, for instance... I know it's a different kind of movie, but, like, Bullet to the Head. He's playing kind of like I'm the all-around badass, which that's cool. I love that. But this movie, he's doing it more of just kind of, I'm just trying to get the fuck by. Why is this fucker got to come in and try and start this fight again, you know?
He's got to play like his underdog character.
Yeah. And that's what I liked about it. Because, I mean, I still like his total badass character, which he's badass in this too. Mm-hmm. But I like the underdog, because we haven't really seen the underdog Sylvester Stallone in a while, I think.
Yeah, it's like, that used to be his like most prominent character for the longest time.
We see a little bit of that in like Barney and Expendables.
Yeah.
What's his full name? Barney something.
I don't know his full name. Is it?
Barney something, yeah. But I'm going to take the most pussy thing possible and make it into a badass.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so... this movie was... Yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of surprised by how much... I mean, I knew I was going to like it. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did.
I liked it a lot, yeah.
I liked it a lot, yeah.
You know, it just had the perfect amount of comedy, perfect amount of drama, which was kind of nice to throw that in there. And then to top it off, it had, you know, a great boxing scene towards the end, and even... good, you know, workout training scenes throughout the movie and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It was just all around good. Yeah,
and something else about it, it was kind of like De Niro, like Stallone was almost playing kind of like a De Niro like character, and De Niro was being kind of the loud, obnoxious one, which is something I haven't really seen that in a while. I thought that was kind of cool to see.
The De Niro being the loud guy,
being the loud kind of like showboater. And when usually De Niro is very much kind of like a Stallone, like underdog character.
Because mostly there's always Joe Pesci in the movie to fill that role.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
I think that's the whole thing.
So, yeah, he's more, yeah. So I thought that was actually pretty cool about it.
Because I was watching Raging Bull again stuff too, and that's pretty much what Joe Pesci is there and stuff. Even though that one's so slow. Like De Niro's like always yelling at him, he's like, "You fucking idiot!" Like, fucking hit me! Hit me! No, I don't want to hit you. Well, you gotta fucking hit me! His wife's like, why don't you be quiet? Just let your brother. He's like, no, fuck you, honey. He's gonna fucking hit me. There's a part where Joe Pesci's just like punching him in the fucking face with no glove. He's like, yeah, that's fucking right. Hit me. Yeah, do it harder.
I feel bad saying I never seen Raging Bull.
It's one of those ones you gotta go see it.
I know I gotta see it.
It's you'll notice that you feel like you've kind of seen the movie before, the structure wise, by seeing Goodfellas and Casino. But it still was one definitely in that list of like movie you should definitely see.
No, I do. Trust me, it's a movie I do want to see. It's not like, oh, I'll get around to it. It's just one of those things. Just I haven't got around to it yet. So
well, that's just how life is. There's always so many. There's always a handful of movies out there that you don't know why you've never seen them to this day. It just sort of happened that way.
And something else that was kind of cool is they actually brought in a good reason why he didn't come back. Why? Because what happens is Stallone and De Niro are these big time rivals. De Niro beat him. Then Stallone comes back, and next time he beats him.
So then there's a third grudge match, the tiebreaker match that needs to happen, and it never does for 30 years.
So what ends up happening is we find out later the reason why he did do it was because apparently he fucked Stallone's girl at the time, and so he's like, well, the one thing he loves more than this is boxing. So fuck you, I'm not giving this back to you. I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and like, even though like De Niro's like, you fucking pussy, why are you doing? He still's like, yeah, I kind of do deserve this. Like, yeah. I understand why. Actually, at the end of the day,
he's like, I was kind of a douche for them. A bit.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool because you never really see De Niro being, I'm playing the douchebag character. You never really see that, you know?
A lot of times he's playing like the calm guy who eventually at some point will start yelling.
That's what he usually is. He's kind of like he's building up until he fucking
sort of like
explodes.
an Al Pacino sort of too. He plays a calm guy and then at some point he yells.
Exactly, yeah.
Just like, you know, Robin Williams always has a speech in a movie, you can always expect that Al Pacino's always going to yell in a movie at some point.
Exactly. And that's what I think about this. I just think this movie was all around pretty good. And I'm going to say this because it's a couple movies in a row. I almost, near the end of the movie, some people are going to make me sound a little sappy, I almost got a little kind of like teary-eyed near the end of the movie.
Well, no, it does kind of have this like, it's the nice thing about this movie, it kind of has that drama filled through it. Mm-hmm. So it does have, like, in a sense, like Rocky 1 and 2, where it does have that kind of almost like, there's a sadness to it as well. Mm-hmm. You know, there's joy, yet there's also sadness at the same time.
Which... It feels weird that I almost got teary because when I was younger, I could watch a bunch of movies and not get fucking teary-eyed. But recently, I feel like I'm just becoming a fucking pussy because I'm getting teary-eyed in so many fucking movies. Like, I almost got a little teary-eyed in fucking Walter Mitty. I haven't fucking cried. Not in a movie. I haven't fucking cried since, like, the 6th grade. So, and I'm not gonna, during a movie.
Not fucking starting now!
But I got a little teary-eyed at Flashpoint, got a little teary-eyed when, like...
Flashpoint has, you know, Batman gets teary-eyed, so it's okay.
Yeah. Got a little teary-eyed in, like, Justice League Unlimited when Batman's sitting there waiting for Ace to die.
Yeah.
Got a little teary-eyed and, like I said, Walter Mitty, so it's just like, I'm just turning into a fucking pussy, you know?
Nothing wrong. If Batman can get teary-eyed,
I can get teary-eyed. Even Silver Linings Playbook, I totally knew how that movie was going to end. I knew where it was going, and then when it's like, it's going to have that kind of ending, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it's that kind of ending, and I'm getting fucking teary-eyed. God damn it.
You know who was really good in this movie, though? I can't remember what the guy's name is, but the guy I was thinking was Paulie.
Paulie.
Yeah, that guy was fantastic in this movie. He had some...
Oh, Alan Arkin?
Yeah, Alan Arkin, there we go.
That guy's a great actor. He had, like, some great lines, and he's almost, like, training Stallone like they're doing old-timey stuff, like stuff that people don't really do, like unconventional ways.
Well, I know they kind of have sort of like a Rocky 4 with, like, Dolph Lundgren and Stallone, where, like, Dolph Lundgren's training with all, like, the high-tech equipment, and then Stallone's training in, like, all the backwoods primal ways. And this movie kind of has that, too, where Stallone's doing it all kind of the old school. He's outside running. He's exercising outside. He's flipping tires and whatnot. And then De Niro's in the gym working on... I mean, he doesn't have any futuristic equipment or anything, but...
Yeah.
You know, he's working inside us, that you could say.
He has trainers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they both have trainers in a sense.
Oh, yeah, they both do have trainers.
But I guess you can see he's professional. He's got LL Cool J's, like, looking over him, sort of.
And then, like LL Cool J.
They kind of make him like LL Douche J in it.
LL Douche J, yeah. And then there's the part where they have... I don't remember the guy. You see him in a bunch of movies. He's like the fat Italian guy. He's in so many fucking movies, but I don't remember his name. And he's usually when he's in a movie, he's fat, make fun of him, laugh at him.
This goes back to 47 Ronin, but there was like poor fat guy. I felt kind of bad for him because like he was used as like the butt end of like a lot of jokes. Just kind of like, because there really wasn't any funny moments in the 47 Ronin, but they used that fat guy as like the comic relief. And there's the part where it just first shows him, he's like taking a bath like in the river. It's just like, he's like, well, there's nobody else walking in there. It's just supposed to be like point and laugh at the fat guy taking a bath.
the directors are like, you, get in there and take a bath.
Aren't they all going to go in there with us? You know,
no, just you.
Just you, so we can all laugh, and the audience can laugh, and Keanu Reeves can fucking laugh.
Before you whip him.
You're gonna beat him at one point though, so it all equals out.
Well, even that part is like they all have to beat Keanu Reeves in front of the Emperor. He's like, get off him! Then he fucking hits him for a second just to get it real quick.
In part 2 where the fat guy's like, I used to chuck fucking rocks at your head.
I know, I saw your fat fucking gut sticking out from behind a
The
tree. You stupid fat fuck. He didn't die.
How does a samurai have so much fucking weight?
He's saying this, he's just looming over, smiling, as he's slowly fucking dying. Just being a total fucking dick to this guy on his deathbed.
Back to the fat Italian guy in Grudge Match.
Like, he's training De Niro, but he's not really doing shit. Then all of a sudden, the guy, I don't remember the actor's name.
He's also in Wolf of Wall Street.
That same actor?
The guy who played De Niro's son.
Who was he in Wolf of Wall Street?
He was the guy with the handlebar mustache guy. The guy that passed away in it.
Handlebar mustache that passed away.
The guy who punches Jonah Hill.
Punches. Oh!
The other friend. Yeah, the guy, but he doesn't really like totally work with him. He's like the other friend. And he's like originally the drug seller guy.
Oh, right, that guy.
Yeah, same guy.
He also played, I mean, I only saw season 1, but he played Shane in season 1 of Walking Dead.
Huh.
I know he probably survived for a little bit in season 2 or whatever, but he was that guy. And he did a good job in the movie, too, playing the son.
I like that character a lot in that one.
His name was BJ.
Yeah. I love how they describe to like the kid. He's like, Dad, what's BJ stand for? And he's like, De Niro's like, well, it's, when you get a, what are they caramel?
He's like butterscotch
jelly beans. Yeah, butterscotch jelly beans.
He's all like, I love BJ. He's like, all right, you don't want to say that in front of
your mom.
So yeah, that was a good flick. I really liked that one.
It just had it was just all well-rounded, Bit of drama, bit of comedy, a bit of action, and yeah, just all around, just a great story. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And plus it's like, that's the first time you ever get to see De Niro and Stallone in a movie.
That was the thing, yeah. It was kind of like two big people. Plus, it's like, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's a team up you really wouldn't expect at the same time. It makes sense because they're in two of the biggest boxing films. Movies. But at the same time, you don't really think Stallone and De Niro. You think Stallone, Schwarzenegger. You think
Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Or you think like De Niro, Al Pacino.
De Niro, Mel Gibson. De Niro, something like that seems more.
Yeah. You don't really think like those two, but it
it's
works.
Kind of funny because like they both are, in a sense, they're both action stars, but they're kind of like Stallone's sort of like the full-on military kind of action, big muscles, big guns. Mm-hmm. It was just gravity.
Yeah.
and De Niro's kind of more like the mobster action guy. It's like they both have the same amount of action probably when you really get down to it, but it's a different style,
Yeah.
So I don't know, perfect combination. Worked out great, and I was glad to see because it was one of those movies that I was kind of afraid though it just might have some kind of like slapsticky, stupid comedy, and it didn't. And I was glad because sometimes you just don't know in some of those kind of movies.
I thought it was funny at the end when there's I don't remember the name of the guy, but there's Mike Tyson, the guy that got his ear bitten off.
Oh, it's
sitting in the
Holyfield.
Yeah. Right. Demender, something like that.
Feel bad. I know who it is, but I'm trying to blank. Well, yeah.
Two of them. I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm guessing they wrapped that up a long time ago. But the fact they're sitting in the office together in that movie, unless they just CG'd them both in there like at separate times or something.
Yeah. Well, probably by now it's like, oh, whatever,
Yeah. And I just thought it was funny. He's like Mike Tyson's all down for it, and the other guy's not. And he's like, all right, what about a part in Hangover 4? Mike Tyson's like, what the fuck you say? So, credits.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to, I guess, Anchorman 2, which that wasn't technically a Christmas one, but we got to that one last of all of our other ones. There was there were so many to choose from. Mm-hmm. And Anchorman 2 that was another movie too where I was kind of like, I know it's going to be funny because Will Ferrell movies are mostly always like, no matter how stupid they can be, they're always mostly funny. At some level. But I was actually more impressed with this one than I thought it was going to be.
Same here, because I was kind of like, look, I like Anchorman 1 a lot. That was like one of the last really funny PG-13 comedies I can think of. Mm-hmm. But, Talladega Nights is pretty funny. I don't think it was as funny as Anchorman. But
that's a pretty good one, too, yeah.
That's a pretty good one. And I'm like, well, Anchorman 2, it's been a while. I don't know if we need another Anchorman 2. And on top of that, it's a PG-13 comedy, and a lot of times, even a lot of R-rated comedies just kind of replay off a lot of the same jokes. Like PG-13, so they're probably going to be playing a lot of things like Austin Powers did. Like, Austin Powers 1 and 2 are good. 3, not so much.
It kind of rides the same trail, and you kind of realize, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Not like Austin Powers 3 is really bad, but it's just doesn't hold up as much as the first two.
And it doesn't feel like it tries as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was expecting that with this movie. It was like, well, and plus they're pouring so much money into advertising. It came out with like, he was on the cover of Rolling Stone. He had a Ron Burgundy ice cream for a little while. They came out with a book by Ron Burgundy for a little while. They came out with like, he was in like Dodge commercials, I believe. So they're doing all this advertisement. I'm like, oh, this movie, unfortunately, it's probably not going to be that good because they're pouring all this money into it. I'm like, actually, no, it was actually pretty funny. It was,
you know, and even like I heard from some people, they said like, oh, well, it kind of peters out towards the end, and I didn't think it really did. You know,
the end is where I thought was the funniest.
I know. I mean, like there was maybe like you can always say there's like probably the slight lull somewhere in the center, but not by much. I'm not gonna say it's that much, but you know, and maybe that's just the point where you start to get slightly tired, and then you get a little bit more awake as it goes on.
Well, the thing about the movie is it does have a kind of a satire aspect to it because they actually stop and acknowledge like they're doing like, well, we're doing real news, and then like Will Ferrell's like, let's give them what they want. Just like let's just put in like, you know,
car
sex,
chases
strippers,
and like kittens. And I was like, now for our 8th and last pet story of the night.
Well, what's kind of about like, you know, for me, what a lot of the jokes in like Will Ferrell movies, it's never really like, here's the big zinger. It's more like the small jokes they just kind of like toss over their shoulder. Like, for instance, kind of like when he's about to get in a fight with the black chick, and there's the old like there's the redneck guy Champ, and he's all like saying, do what men have been doing for centuries and beat that woman. You know, it's just kind of like the small lines, kind of like that, or just kind of like when he's walking with his son, he's all saying like, your mom thinks I'm not there for you. I don't treat you like a child. Isn't that a bunch of bullshit? It's just kind of like the small little lines.
The small lines. That's always what makes comedies really good.
And when he's like announcing the dolphin, like show at the beginning, like, oh look, it's a dolphin doing backflips. Are you guys surprised? He's like vomit on his suit.
He's drinking while talking to like children.
I'll say this: there is like one or two things that actually they do pull out of the first Anchorman, but they do it at a different time and they add to it and they go so much more with it. It's like it works for the movie, because usually when you just repeat the same jokes from like the sequel from the last movie,
you get a Rush Hour 2 and 3.
You get a Rush Hour 2, you get Austin Powers Gold Member, and this one though, it actually fucking works, because there's a part in like Anchorman 1, which is probably the most weirdest, most random part, which is where they all just all the different like news crews just get into this like gang war, and you see a few guys riding by on a horse, like Steve Carell chucks a Triton at somebody. It's just way over the top. This one, they say, let's amp that shit to fucking 11, and it just goes fucking off the wall, like,
and cameos like nobody's business, and
it's one of those things kind of like I mean it gets to that point where like, this is so fucking stupid, but it's aware, and that's what's funny about it.
Well, I think it's yeah, because the movie's, in a sense, it's a realistic movie. You can say, I mean, it's a comedy, but I mean, it's a realistic kind of like, there's nothing too fantasy or sci-fi about it. Let's just say that.
They go into
and then at the very end, it just becomes almost like fantasy-like.
And then like, well, it's funny.
The fucking Minotaur.
It just
and the ghost of Stonewall Jackson.
Like, it's just one fucking thing. Then like Harrison Ford comes in, he turns into a werewolf. So it's just like this shit. Like, where the fuck did that come from? And it's just like,
but it worked perfect.
That's the thing about it. I think it's one of those things because a lot of people say, you know, these movies are so fucking stupid and they can't take them seriously. So I think that this movie just stopped and said, for all those people who always say that, let's just really piss them the fuck off, you know? Because what happens is just one thing after another. I like Cyclops. What's the actor's name? I think James Masters or whatever. Cyclops is like his rival. And was that Cyclops? I think that was Cyclops.
Was it?
James Masters? Yeah.
The guy is supposed to be Justin Lame or Jim Lame.
Yeah. He comes in, like, it's like in a moment where, like, he quits. He's like, I gotta go to my kid's recital. And then him and his news crew jump in front of Will Ferrell with, like, battle axes. So it's like, okay, it's gonna lead in like the other one. Then all of a sudden, I don't remember the exact order, but then, like,
Sacha Baron Cohen comes out.
BBC, and then MTV, which I don't know who anybody in that was. MTV.
That was Kanye West.
That was Kanye West?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And then, Will Smith came out.
From ESPN.
And then Jim Carrey and Talia Al Ghul, I don't know what her real actress name is.
I think Conti Armataire, it's like a super French name, and she's like is like the Canadian like
news team.
And every time they say like we're gonna like they're like we're polite but we can still be tough, you know, like we're gonna saw your heads off. Oh, sorry, we didn't mean that. You know, they keep on apologizing for every insult.
And then who else comes out?
Harrison Ford comes in, which Harrison Ford's the beginning of the movie that he fires. It's like a very weird, awkward scene. Like gets right in their faces, like just inches away. Just like he like strokes Ron Burgundy's hair. Says, "Oh, this is very awkward. This is very weird." Then he goes to Ron Burgundy's wife. She just like strokes her face, her hair. She's like,
Applegate.
Yeah. And then he's like, "You're getting promoted. You're getting fired." You know. Then he's out of the movie till then. And he comes in. He turns into a fucking werewolf. Then Liam Neeson comes in on the History Channel.
Liam Neeson's there.
Like, you guys, that's not news. Like, it's news. It's just old news when it gets down to it. And on his team was John C. Reilly as the ghost.
Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall Jackson. And then a fucking Minotaur was just there. And then there was some lady, like, Lauren.
Tina Fey.
Oh, yeah, Tina Fey, and then pretty much the NBC people.
NBC people, yeah. No, but Laura, you said, who was the lady who was on top of the building? Like with a horn?
Oh, Kristen Dunst.
That was Kristen Dunst. Kristen Dunst, that's who it was.
So
somebody said it. I remember that. Anyway, yeah. And then that part was hella funny. So just one person.
And then to top it all off at the very end, Vince Vaughn returns on a motorcycle.
From his character.
Yeah.
And then he just says like, I don't like Ron Burgundy. But we have a brotherly blonde being from San Diego. They're all like wearing like Channel 9, like, you know, these like.
Channel 9 like motorcycle jackets.
And he says something like, why I've been talking this whole time, me and my boys, we unloaded all of our gasoline right over your feet. So if you make a move, you're fucking dead. He's like, says, you're willing to die just so Ron Burgundy can go see his kid's recital? It's just like, all the shit I've done, burning alive, I know I'm going to hell. That don't scare me. He's like,
I don't mind burning on earth.
Yeah. And he's going like, I'm not going to lie, that was actually pretty badass right there. Mm-hmm. And then after all that, he somehow, like, you see the whole street explode, literally. Then you just see him, like...
Cuts at the recital.
Well, it's a lot of the small jokes, kind of like in Anchorman, that make it so funny. Just, like, weird stuff that's almost kind of like...
Like him raising a shark.
Him raising a shark, yeah. Like, that kind of, like, weird slapsticky thing, but more like the aspects of, like... There's the part where they're walking through, like, Paul Rudd's house. Mm-hmm. And he's all like... One of them just makes some, like... whatever joke. Something's not even that funny. They all start laughing like uproariously, like they just abruptly cut, just a rough cut of just like there's like. Anyways, I was saying.
So we're going to New York.
Or just like the things like they fucking crash like the Winnebago or whatever.
Yeah, because he puts it on cruise control, assuming it's going to drive itself.
And then it's like they're just like talking for 5 minutes before the thing actually just crashes. And as soon as they crash, it's like, well, this will make a story. They just all start laughing. It's like it's not a big deal.
It's like all destroyed. It's upside down or whatnot. No, it filled with great comedy. I felt like it had a couple of like, I always call it like the main things you always see. And it's not like a buddy comedy as in like 2 guys, but it really is like a buddy comedy as in 4 guys. Mm-hmm. There's always, in every buddy comedy, and this is the one thing I feel like, there's a couple generic things like, they got to have the falling out. It seems like you can't get away from that. It happens in everything. It happens in Wayne's World. It happens at Night at the Roxbury. It happens in all those movies.
It happens in both Wayne's Worlds, doesn't it? At some point.
I think it might happen in the second one. But it seems to happen in every buddy comedy. At some point, there's the falling out, and it's almost like by this point that story structure. Whenever you see it, it's kind of like, oh, well, there's got to be something else you can do other than them falling out. I mean. Mm-hmm. But whatever. I mean, like, it's kind of there. It's not super bad. It's not like they're like gone for like. Way long. Well, it goes into another scene where like he ends up being blind and
he's like
lives in a fucking lighthouse. And I love because like he doesn't use like he's like blind, so he just assumes he can't do anything. He doesn't use like any of his other senses whatsoever.
It's funny because he's just like, I can't even masturbate anymore. Like, what are you talking about? Your dicks connect to you. The other day I tried, and I was just really violently rubbing my own shin. So, it's just things like that. And there's like the line where. I think it was like, the other day I tried to brush my teeth and I found out it was just a lobster. It's like, how do you not know?
It was a lobster by picking it up.
Yes. So, yeah, the movie's really dumb, but if you like that kind of humor, which I do.
It's really, like, top-notch for that. Well, that's the kind of humor that, like, I like it for that movie, but that doesn't, like, that kind of humor doesn't always work for me on, like, a lot of movies.
Well, it's kind of weird because I think this movie has enough balance of other type of humor, because a Mel Brooks movie, even though I like Mel Brooks, I don't really like it as much as I did when I was a kid now.
I know, it's kind of weird, because when I was a kid, Mel Brooks was my favorite. Like, if you go back and look at any of those, like, third or second grade, like, things where they ask you what your favorite things are, there's always something Mel Brooks in all my things. It's like, he was always mentioned. And as I get older, I still really appreciate all his stuff, and I think he's still fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I will say there is a point where, like, some of his movies, not all of them, there is that kind of like, well, it's a little too slapsticky now, and
yeah,
you know, it's not nearly as funny as it once was.
And when I'm comparing like one of the worst type of movies ever made right here, but like those epic, like the Friedberg and Seltzer movies, like epic movie, date movie, that kind of stuff.
And those all kind of almost spawned from like Airplane in a sense. I always feel.
Yeah,
there's probably something before that, but that's the one I was thinking is kind of the big turning point for that style of humor.
And even Airplane, I think, can work and all that. But I mean,
well, Airplane, I think it works because it's kind of like it's probably not the first, but it's, you know, it's one of the big first ones to kind of do it, and it is. Now that one just like that runs off that like random humor, like where you just put weird shit together and somehow it's funny because it's just so random.
But the reason why I think like say something like the Friedberg and Seltzer movies don't work is that it's really because some people say like, well, if you like that dumb comedy, I'm just gonna explain real quick. That dumb comedy doesn't feel like it's coming out of anything like intelligent, or doesn't have any real level of real satire. It's just kind of like what came out this year.
Well, yeah, it's not original humor. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's like. Because, you know,
parody humor, which parody humor a lot of times I think is the easiest type. It doesn't take much effort.
It's just kind of the weird. It's like, yeah, it's dumb, but at least it's from something you never really heard before. Like when Will Ferrell's like, they're talking to his kid, like, there's something you must be afraid of. Voodoo. It's in Haiti, you know. So he makes the kid just scared of Haiti. Or Haiti? Did I say Haiti? Oh, Haiti. Yeah. Duh. No, what's wrong with me? Like I said, we're doing this podcast a little later.
And it's probably gone on for longer than a normal podcast.
Yeah, but it's like that kind of weird. Like, where the fuck does that come from? Or just kind of like how fucking stupid Brick is, like Steve Carell's character.
And it's strange enough, because I'm not a big fan of Steve Carell. I really don't like Steve Carell that much, but I don't mind him as Brick. I don't know what it is. I mean, at some points it's kind of weird, but like generally it doesn't bother me.
Just like the weird, like, what the fuck, like, you know, just when he starts making out with Kristen Wiig, who's in this movie also, and he slams her against the wall as they're making out. Her dress gets lifted up, and she's wearing like man's underwear, so it's
like
not
whitey tighties.
It's not sexy at all. So, and they're just weird, kind of just like you know.
I like that too. It's like, well, what do you do if a girl? Well, you know, you take her out and you get drinks. So they go to like the laundromat and they're like standing by the vending machine drinking soda pop
because she's as stupid as he is.
Yeah, or like it's out there and weird.
And then like there's also like, can I ask you a question? He says like, perhaps. He's like, have you ever kissed somebody before? Not including television or Planet of the Apes action figures.
She's like, that counts.
Yeah. Then yes, very much. You know? So it's just kind of like...
But I guess, like, in a sense, Anchorman, even though it has some silly, in a sense, slapstick comedy in it...
There's a little bit of intelligence.
Generally, most of it's realistic comedy, and there's a story that goes with it. I think that's what makes it kind of different. It's not just... And there's not, like, that kind of random, like... Just why is that guy wearing a dress? Oh, to be funny. It's, you know, I mean, there's none of that kind of stuff in it. Or why is there a fucking chicken, like, inside, like, you know, the cabinet inside a aircraft hangar? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those movies kind of have just stuff thrown together. It's just, I can never always figure it out. It's kind of like the one Charlie Sheen movie, Hot Shots, which that was always one of those movies. I remember buying it going like, oh, this is going to be fucking amazing. It's like the original 2.5 Men. It's Charlie Sheen and John Cryer, and then it was like, oh, it's one of these movies.
And like there's part where they're trying to be like the one part that's weird is he just starts eating food off the girl's stomach and later starts like cooking an egg on her stomach, like some
it's stuff. Just like it's just that weird. And strange enough, that guy ended up making, you know, from that ended up making Basketball. But I always feel like what made Basketball such a good movie was Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Well, Basketball is kind of like that balance of just kind of like, I think what's pretty good satire, and at the same time, because at the end of the day, Basketball had something to say. Which Anchorman, is stupid as it is,
but it still had something to say.
It made a good point about how stupid like the news, how the news networks are.
Yeah, they just always play things that are going to get them ratings and stupid shit that's not really helpful towards anybody.
And the movie acknowledges the movie almost kind of sets up this fantasy story in a sense of like Ron Burgundy is what started that. That's why it's like that now.
And then at the very end, he says, this is what you shouldn't be watching. You should be watching real news.
Mm-hmm. Where it actually did have sort of a message at the end. Which
that's kind of like Baseball. I always feel like that sounds weird, but that movie has a really good fucking message in it, too. Like, you know what? You know, the game should be more about the game and not about the money making and all the other crap involved in it.
Yeah.
But, you know, in baseball, I think, because you can always tell in that movie, you can tell what's pretty much like the airplane guy's joke and you can tell what's a Matt Stone Trey Parker joke really easy in that movie.
Yeah, you can. And I think that's a movie, like, I think that's a good balance of those two types of humor. Just like Anchorman's a good balance of those type of humor.
Yeah.
Or say something like, I'm not confusing the guy who made, I give so much more credit to the guy that made, like, Naked Gun and Airplane to those fucks that make all those parody movies. Because those guys, they just take whatever just came out and just throw in, like, a fart joke. Or
Well, because you can think about, like, you know,
the YouTube joke.
nice thing about basketball and stuff is, like, that's really, one, the guy made the game himself. And two, it's its original story, in a sense. It's not like, it's not just parodying everything. I mean, you could say Hot Shots is parodying Top Gun and Iron Eagle and all those movies of the time, but, you know, even Airplane, it's like, I don't think that's parodying anything. Could be. There's jokes in it that's parodying stuff, but I don't think that's parodying, was plane movies a really big thing in the 70s? I can't tell you what any plane movie I was that I saw then.
And those ones still could have some clever moments in them. It's just, but I think that there's a difference between, say, I think Anchorman and Basketball, they're kind of like that same type of, like...
I think what we learned at the end of the day is that the moral of this is that as long as you have something to say, you can have slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
If you don't have something to say, then you're just shit out of luck.
Pretty much. I saw one more movie if we got time for it. Is it kind of pushing it?
We stopped it so many times that I have no idea where we are. I think we're at an hour and a half, but I could be wrong.
Okay, I'll just spit this out real quick.
You saw The Saving Mr. Banks?
Yeah.
See, I've heard about this one so far, and that was one of the ones I wanted to see, but I knew it'd be at the end of my list compared to, like, the other 5, or what have you. We didn't miss one, did we? I was kind of wondering about the whole time.
I don't
Grudge Match.
There's so many
Ronin,
movies we saw over the last...
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. I'm trying to imagine all the posters at the movie theater.
I know, that's what I'm trying to do. For some reason, I have this feeling like we missed one, but I can't imagine what.
It won't surprise me.
Wolf of Wall Street, Grudge Match, Force and Ronin. I don't think we did. At least.
So halfway through, I'm like, oh shit, we did see 40. We did see Grudge Match.
Match.
It's like, oh wait, we saw Anchorman 2 today, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's been a fucking blur. No, I saw Saving Mr. Banks, and
I heard really good. I heard that was really good and all that stuff, and I expected it to be really good. And it's a biopic. I always like biopics.
It's good. I'm gonna say this: they advertised that movie like it's Tom Hanks. It's like Walt Disney and I'm forgetting the name, Pamela Travers, P.L. Travers working together. They advertised the movie like that, but it's more like P.L. Travers' story, and then Tom Hanks comes in as Walt Disney in a couple of very crucial moments. He's there, and he's a big part of the movie, but he's not there the whole time. Because I like what Cisco said. It's like Godfather 2.
Yeah, Cisco's explained to me, and he said, "Give me the Godfather 2 thing." I'm like, I know exactly what you fucking mean.
So it shows her childhood in Australia. Then it shows what's going on when they're trying to make Mary Poppins. And she's this very prudish, very kind of like unlikable person. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this chick? Then you see the way...
But the story was, because like, I sort of know the story from just like before like the movie came out, but she never wanted Mary Poppins to be made. It was like, get the fuck out of here, Walt Disney. You take your cartoon hoo-haws and you get the fuck out.
Yeah, and she just has like the weirdest things, kind of like, I don't want red in the movie, no animation. I don't want this song, doesn't have proper
English. I want a guy named Dick Van fucking Dyke.
She didn't want Dick Van Dyke, she didn't want none of that. She was like just being impossible to work with. And the reason, like, it's like, look, he's like, for 20 years I've been trying to get you over here to make this movie. I promise you it's going to be a good movie. Just let me do what I do. And she's like, I don't want Mr. Banks with a mustache. She cannot have a mustache. And then like, she's like so dead set. He can't have a mustache, And then like you see like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? And then you actually kind of see in the thing, and like she has some problems. Like, oh, that's why he don't want a mustache. Because like it's
Colin
based
Farrell,
on
her dad.
The character is based on her dad. He was,
in real life, Colin Farrell was her dad. He went back in time and had this child
and left. No, but.
It was the
I'll
sequel
see you
to
later.
Total Recall.
I'm gonna go fuck Britney Spears, then Kate Beckinsale afterwards, then Jessica Biel. Anyway, that's my Colin Farrell. So, but he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, In Bruges. So I can't deny him that. So
well, I love Colin Farrell.
No, he's good. I think that
he's also another amazing movie, Seven Psychopaths.
I think he's best when he doesn't have to put on a fake American accent. I think, and it's not just kind of like his acting. I think the movie is just better when he's just like, just let him have his Irish accent.
Yeah, I agree.
In this movie, he has he has his Irish. He's playing Australian, so he has his Irish accent. But
Australia's Ireland Junior.
It is Ireland Junior, and then like I guess Boston would be Ireland like the third.
Yeah, that's like the next one.
Yeah, but anyway, so. Moving on.
Really, they're more brothers, Boston and Australia. They're probably born around the same time.
They don't get along, they don't talk too much, but they know of each other.
They live far away from each other. They get together once in a while in Ireland.
That's the only time you see each other. Oh yeah, the motherland, right? Good to you too. Right on. Anyway, so there's actually it has this whole story what her life was like growing up. And at first, when you see her dad, he's just like, I'm this wonderful mystical guy. I'm the greatest dad in the world. I'm so fun. I want to play with the kids all the time. Like, this guy's awesome. He's really nice. You know, he's like, come on, you're a princess. Let's do magical. You know, he's just the most loving dad. Then little by little, like, oh, this guy's just drunk, like 24/7. He's like
drunk Batman. He's just got a constant buzz going.
Yeah, he's like just totally hammered all the time. And then like you kind of see it start to be a problem. You see it before this point, but this part where it's like, oh, it's really a fucking problem. Which is like, there's a part where like
this is why this is PG-13 and Mitty's only PG.
Well, I saw the trailer like PG-13. Like, it's a fucking Disney biopic. Why is it PG-13?
This part where Walt Disney rapes her.
Be lucky you got
Mickey Mouse beating up in the corner.
Be lucky you got PG-13 with this fucker. Disney, they can't do everything. Well, they managed to get PG-13. They're lucky for that. But anyway,
pretty much Disney did a gangbang on her and then blackmailed her.
You couldn't do that.
That's how they got Mary Poppins made.
You couldn't really. Tom Hanks.
If Tom Hanks raped you, you'd kind of just let it happen.
Well, he's America's kind of like, he's your next door. He's America's next door neighbor. He's the guy. He's like America's nice next door neighbor. Morgan Freeman, he's like America's black grandpa. Or you love him. Even like fucking racists love Morgan Freeman. Yeah. So,
when you meet those guys that have those lists, like, these are the only black people I like. It's like, you'll see Morgan Freeman, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Well, I like Beverly Hills Cop. Come on, man. You gotta. I love the accent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I can relate.
We can't burn a cross in that guy's lawn. But anyway, back to this one though. So there's this part where like he's talking to his like says, what are you today, darling? He's like, I'm pretending to be a hen. He's like, oh, what are you doing? Like, I'm laying eggs or whatever. The wife comes out like, sweetie, I need you to come like,
this is Colin Farrell saying this.
This is the mom, Colin Farrell talking to a little girl.
Okay.
The mom comes out like, Pamela, I need you to go like sit at the table. Like, I'm laying eggs right now. And he's like, she's like, then she's like, just do it right now.
Describe like she's
pretending
she's squatting down.
No, she's sitting there closing her eyes, pretending to be a hen. It's kids in the fucking early 1900s.
They don't got Transformers and GI Joes.
What the fuck are they gonna do? I'm gonna pretend to be a hen today. I've already pretended to be everything else. So, So
take a shit in the woods and pretend to be a hen.
So she's just like sitting there, like closing her eyes on like the stool, on a stairs or something at the porch. And she's like, well, be a hen later. And she just go sit at the table. Like, I'm doing this hen thing right now. She's like, sweetheart, you got to then like Colin Farrell just very violently, she's pretending to be a fucking hen. Doesn't say fucking, but then like
they didn't use the one F-bomb in that movie.
They said God damn it, which I believe it was Walt Disney said God damn it. So I was like, oh, that happened, But
Disney said God and damn it in the same phrase.
I think Disney, maybe someone else. Actually, it may have been one of the Stevens brothers, the guys that wrote all the Disney movies and like all the Disney music in the '60s, the Stevens brothers or the Sherman brothers.
Yeah.
Because they're working with her in the movie, and so then she like, almost gets this tear and kind of like okay, goes back inside the house. Colin Farrell then's like, you can be whatever you want when you grow up. She's like, I want to be like you, Dad. He's just like, no, you don't. He goes in the house. She kind of goes around. He's in the bathroom crying, just chugging a bottle of fucking booze. Just like, this is a fucking Disney movie? Jesus. I mean, it was still good. And then there's like a part, like, actually, playing the Sherman Brothers, two people they got Jason Schwartzman. Mm-hmm. And then they also got, I don't know the actor's name, but he's the guy who in, like, Inglourious Bastards, who's kind of like, they call me the little man.
Oh, okay, I know you're
that dude. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They do a really good part. And the guy who's playing, I don't remember the actor's, the character's name, but the guy who wrote Mary Poppins, the screenplay, it's the guy that he's the douchebag, evil businessman from Happy Gilmore and Private Parts. Not Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison in Private Parts.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
He was also in Cabin in the Woods. He was like one of the guys working in
the
program room. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I know.
He was a really good job in the movie. And Paul Giamatti plays like the bus driver,
that's right.
driver in the
that
movie.
too. That's cool.
It's kind of funny because you see like P.L. Travers going up to like Walt Disney saying, "This will not happen. This is my movie." Yada yada. You see like Walt Disney. You see Tom Hanks. He's still lovable, but you see he's kind of bottling it. You kind of do see. I thought they were gonna make him. They do sugarcoat him. You see it's there.
You don't see any like swearing and punching and smoking.
No, you see him smoke in one scene. He smokes. She walks in the room. She's like, he puts out the cigarette real quickly. Sorry, I don't like people seeing me smoke. I don't want to set bad example. Anyway, yeah, why are you here? So, no, there's a part where like, several parts where she's like, this is not going to happen. You know, she's just being straight up offensive with him. And then he says to, then like, I know this happened. This had to happen. But I know at some point he has to walk up to a guy in a mouse outfit like, okay, I understand, Miss Travers. That sounds great. Walks to the mouse outfit. When this is done, that bitch is dead. Walks by. Which made me... I thought that to myself, and then it makes me laugh, because when they go to the Mary Poppins premiere, a guy in a Mickey Mouse suit walks up to her, puts his arm out, and walks her in there. Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, okay, she's still alive. That's good. What ends up happening later...
Walks in there, fucking just blows up.
No, but what ends up happening is she ends up saying, no, I'm not selling this fucking movie. She ends up, because she finds out, he's like, oh, I like this movie. Yes, she's kind of coming around, accepting the movie. Then, because they play the song, Let's Go Fly a Kite. She's like, I love this, They get all into it. And then she finds out, just like a few minutes later, there's penguin. The penguins in the movie are going to be animated. She's like, no! No!
Just sitting there, like, looking at the theater, like, screen cuts to black.
They kind of show her, no, they just kind of show her kind of roll. During that scene in the movie, they show her kind of like rolling her eyes in the theater. But no, then she kind of leaves. Then Walt Disney, who knows how much this movie's based on.
Some people go like, I fucking hate animation. You put fucking animated penguins in there, you fucking queer.
Yeah. That's kind of like
I wrote Mary fucking Poppins, and I'm not having no fucking animation, no Dick Van Fuckdyke in my goddamn movie.
Exact words from the movie.
Give me one of your fucking cigarettes, Walt Disney.
That's 5 o'clock shadow and shit.
Only pussies hide their smoking from their fans.
I breathe it in their faces.
It's like, how can you fucking hide smoking when you made a Goofy movie that he's smoking for 10 fucking minutes? And it's telling kids, quitting smoking's a bad idea.
So, pretty much. So, and then like, Walt Disney goes to her house, talks her into it, gives this real heartwarming speech about like, my dad would beat me unless, I don't know why he's talking like this. He's Tom Hanks.
My dad would beat me unless I made animated penguins for him.
My dad would beat me if I didn't go on this newspaper run. I have to go walk through the snow after school, before school, and yada yada. So, and yeah, and then like, she signs off the rights, and one of those moments, got a little teary-eyed. There's the part when they're playing like this kind of like things from her life with the audio from the movie. Kind of like in flashbacks, she's in the theater and she's all crying, seeing like what she wished, how things turned out with her dad and all that, because her dad ends up dying. So one of those moments, like, oh, it's a good movie. It's I mean, you don't gotta rush to in theaters. It's more like a Redbox kind of movie, but it's still good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It'd be like a rental, I assume.
Yeah.
I knew it'd be good. It's a biopic. It looked good, But yeah, well, there you go. A fuck ton of movies. And they're all worth watching. There's not a single one I'd say it's not worth watching. They're all good.
Exactly.
Some better than others, but they're all fucking good. Well, make sure to check out oldmanorange.com. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We will see you some other time.